Chapter 53:12. Damn it, who is it? Lin Wudi. They don't want to let us go. The Hundan tribe experts roared wildly. They were on the verge of collapse. After all, Hun Tian's death was a huge blow to them. Now that they had returned with their corpses, someone actually tried to assassinate them. What are they trying to do? Damn it, do they really think that we the Hundan tribe are pushovers? Even if the ancestor is not here, we can still sweep through everything. The sacred masters were furious. They displayed their powerful strength and shattered the heavens and earth. However, a cold laugh came from the void. Then, it turned into a terrifying vortex and charged over. It attacked the Hundan tribe experts. Not good, it's the devouring quasi-emperor. They thought of Wine Lord, but in the next moment, they realized that it was not him. There was no emperor's might, and the devouring quasi-emperor should be with their ancestor. Then who is it? Is it the heaven-devouring jar? No, it's not Lin Wudi's aura. They thought of another possibility. The demonic heaven-devouring art. Damn it, you're a light-shaking realm expert. You want to devour our chaos physique. Damn it. They roared wildly. These people sped up. A few other experts stayed behind, ready to kill the light-shaking realm experts. However, the light-shaking realm experts appeared and disappeared mysteriously. Their spatial abilities were superb. They dodged these attacks for a while. Damn it, this demonic heaven-devouring art is too extraordinary. He has the Gu clan's divine ability. We have to be careful. The void in front of them shattered, and a man in cotton clothes walked out. He had a handsome face. He blocked the way. Hand over the chaos physique, and I can spare your lives. Just you? The three sacred ancestors walked out, their faces incomparably cold. Light-shaking realm, although you're a young genius and have cultivated the demonic heaven-devouring art, it's still too early for you to fight against us. Get lost immediately, or we'll destroy your divine soul. They were full of killing intent. Hun Tian was already dead, but the other party didn't even let his corpse go. How could they tolerate it? Hun Tian, however, sneered and remained unmoved. He spoke to the void. Don't you think it's time for you to make a move? When the surrounding people heard this, their pupils constricted. Damn it, could it be that the other party had helpers? They looked around cautiously. However, they didn't find any experts. The primal chaos sacred leader snorted coldly. Do you think we'll believe you? However, at this moment, a cold voice sounded. Don't worry, I promise to give you the primal chaos body. Why would I go back on my word? The experts of the Hundan tribe turned pale when they heard the voice. Not good, let's go. The other party really had helpers. However, it was already too late. In the next moment, an illusory soul flew out. He stepped on the sky and swept through the world. It was the remnant soul of 9 firmaments quasi-earth. Although it was only a remnant soul, its vast emperor's aura swept out. Countless people cried out in surprise. Great Emperor! No, it was a quasi-emperor. This light-shaking realm cultivator actually had a half-emperor by his side. Damn it, this person was just as terrifying as Lin Wudi, and he was hiding even deeper. No, it's not a complete quasi-emperor. It's just a wisp of his soul. A sacred ancestor gritted his teeth. Remnant soul? Do you think you can contend against them? Quasi-emperor Jiu Shao sneered. In the next moment, his emperor aura swept out in all directions. Those sacred ancestors tried their best to resist, but they were still sent flying while vomiting blood. In the next moment, they froze in the void, their faces filled with despair. They let out a painful roar. Quasi-Emperor Jiu Shao said, "Hurry up and do it. I can't hold on for too long. I'm very weak now." At this point, a cold look appeared in his eyes. Damn Sakura. If he hadn't sealed me, I wouldn't be so weak now. With his true strength, he could kill these sacred ancestors with just a look. However, he couldn't do it now. One could only imagine how weak he was right now. Yao Guang, however, moved quickly. He charged forward. There was an ancient coffin there. Inside the coffin of chaos was Hun Tian's corpse. Yao Guang immediately opened the coffin of chaos and kept the soul inside. I got it. Let's go. He flew into the distance. Quasi-Emperor Jiu Shao sneered. He formed a seal with his fingers and activated a great emperor mystique. It was a soul technique. In the next moment, the experts of the Hundan tribe screamed. The souls of the saints were destroyed, and the sacred ancestors vomited blood. They fell to the ground. No, Your Highness. They roared crazily. However, they no longer had the chance to fight back. Quasi-Emperor Jiao Shao and Yao Guang's figures gradually disappeared. News of what happened next also spread. When the people of the Hundan tribe who came to receive them realized that the Hundan physique had disappeared, they all went crazy. Who did it? There were mountains of corpses and seas of blood. Only a few sacred ancestors were still alive. However, the situation of these few sacred ancestors was even more strange. 2 of them had gone crazy. They couldn't tell what happened at all. There were also 2 people who had terrified expressions. Every time they wanted to tell the truth, their souls would split apart. The torture made them hover between life and death. In the end, the people of the Hundan tribe didn't know who did it. Who stole the Hundan physique? Damn it, someone is targeting our Hundan tribe. Let's go back and wait for the grand ancestor to return. These people were on high alert. If the sacred ancestors were so injured, the person who did it must be very terrifying. They didn't dare to be careless and went back. When this matter spread, it caused an uproar. For a moment, countless people were guessing who dared to steal the Hundan physique. Could it be that Lin Wudi wanted to kill them all? Some people guessed. Some people shook their heads. It was impossible. If Lin Wudi wanted to make a move, he would have done so. Some people also said, could it be that Yao Guang? He cultivated the demonic sky-devouring technique. When these words came out, the others' expressions turned solemn. A few top-notch experts were extremely worried. This light-shaking realm cultivator was extremely strange. If he obtained the primal chaos body, if he had the Hundan physique, who knew how far he would grow? It was very likely that he would be even more terrifying than the Double Crown King, Hun Tian. He was a peerless enemy. Of course, this was just a guess. No one had evidence that Hun Tian had stolen the Hundan physique. Some people guessed that it was other experts who wanted to study the bloodline of the Hundan tribe. For a moment, there were all kinds of guesses. When the news reached Lin Xian and the others, Yan Ruyu, the dark red divine dragon, and the others were shocked. However, there was no evidence, so this matter could only be dropped. In the sword world, Lin Xian slowly opened his eyes. At this moment, he had recovered about half of his strength. Most importantly, he had stabilized his foundation. As long as his foundation was fine, the rest were just minor injuries. Congratulations, kid. The dark red divine dragon flew in. You have killed another strong enemy, but there are a lot of things I have to tell you. He told everyone about the theft of the Hundan physique. Chapter 53:13. Are you sure? The dark red divine flame asked. The people outside were all guessing, but there was no evidence. Some people even guessed that it was some other expert who wanted to study the secrets of the primal chaos race. Lin Xian shook his head. He said, "No, I'm sure. It's the light-shaking realm." He always felt a sense of danger when it came to the light-shaking realm. He felt that this person would definitely be a peerless enemy in the future. Although he had defeated the other party last time, he did not kill him. As for the demonic heaven-devouring art that the other party cultivated, as long as he found a suitable expert to devour, then his strength would undergo an earth-shattering change. If the other party devoured the primal chaos body and grew up, he would definitely be more terrifying than Hun Tian. Thinking of this, his face turned cold. It seemed that if he met the other party in the future, he could not give the other party a chance to escape. He had to kill the other party. He slowly closed his eyes and began to cultivate to recover. Outside, the news of Lin Xian killing the Double Crown King was still sweeping through the universe. Many large clans and sects were shocked. The clans of the ancients and the monarch races were also shocked. However, that was not the only thing. There were also some powerhouses who had been in hibernation. At this moment, they finally opened their eyes and woke up. They couldn't help it. They were really too shocked. The Double Crown King was already a very powerful expert. Moreover, he was so young. Such a person's future was limitless. One had to know that he was an existence that surpassed the emperor's children. Even if he encountered a divine ancestor, he would be able to contend with him. Not only that, but even a few sacred masters might not be able to kill a double crown king. But now, Lin Xian had done it and killed a double crown king. This was simply too shocking. This person was definitely a young great emperor. On a star filled with flames, a figure walked up from the ground. He still had a divine crystal on him. It was obvious that he was sealed. His gaze pierced through the 9 heavens. Had such a top genius appeared again? But so what? Back then, didn't Xia Jiuyo also dominate the world, and was only one step away from becoming a great emperor? Wasn't he still injured by someone, and had no chance of becoming a great emperor in the end? This time, we can imitate the ancient times and injure Lin Wuti, so that he has no chance of becoming a great emperor. In another star, there was also a divine crystal that had a human figure sealed within it. It was a woman. She looked at the universe and frowned. Even the primal chaos body was destroyed. She wondered what happened to the quasi-emperor of the primal chaos race. Would he make a move? After all, a quasi-emperor should be able to sweep through everything. Divine crystals also flew out from another star. That person said. It was said that this quasi-emperor of the Hundan tribe had been in seclusion, trying to break through to the great emperor realm. Now that something like this had happened, would it affect his heart of martial arts? Voices rang out one after another. These people were also incomparably terrifying. They even knew a lot about the legends of quasi-emperors. But when the real great emperor was mentioned, they all sighed. As for quasi-emperor and martial emperor, they were 2 different realms. A true great emperor could sweep through the universe with his might, but such a character was too difficult to find. Gradually, everyone realized that Lin Xian did not appear after that battle. Immediately, someone exclaimed, could it be that Lin Wuti was also seriously injured in this battle? That was possible. After all, Hun Tian was not to be trifled with. Hun Tian had fallen, but it was not difficult to seriously injure Lin Wuti. Some people guessed that his foundation might have been damaged. If that was the case, Lin Wuti's path of martial arts would be dangerous. Countless guesses were made. Some people even guessed that Lin Wuti had been seriously injured and had fallen. Of course, no one had evidence, but such news had indeed spread throughout the 9 heavens. For a moment, the people of the Divine Union were worried again. However, they were relieved that no one dared to make a move against them for the time being. Indeed, although these enemies were gnashing their teeth at Lin Wuti, Lin Xian had been hit by an extreme weapon in the sun. They all thought that he had fallen. In the end, Lin Xian came out alive a few years later. Therefore, this time, unless they saw Lin Xian fall with their own eyes, they would not dare to make a move. Otherwise, they would not dare to make a move rashly. There were many legends about Lin Xian. However, some strange scenes appeared in the universe. In the vast starry sky, there was a flaming star. Suddenly, monstrous flames engulfed the universe. Then a figure rose into the sky. This figure carried a powerful flame power that swept in all directions. Countless blade lights revolved around his body. It was as if the blade god had been resurrected. Those who passed by were dumbfounded when they saw this, as if they had been struck by lightning. Someone exclaimed, how could this person's aura be so strong? It had already surpassed the Thearch's son. Why do I feel that he is not weaker than Hun Tian? Oh my god, this can't be a double champion, right? Impossible. Exclamations were heard one after another. However, this scene was still recorded by someone using an array formation and spread throughout the universe. Finally, a powerhouse of the older generation exclaimed, was this person Hu Yinchu from back then? Some young geniuses were unfamiliar with this name. However, some divine ancestors narrowed their eyes. Could this be Hu Yinchu, who was known as Skyblade? He was actually still alive. Through the array formation, they could see that he had a sealing divine crystal on him at that time. It seemed that he had chosen to seal himself and sleep for all these years. Now he had actually appeared. In the cold universe, the void suddenly split open, and a figure walked out. He also had a sealing divine crystal on him. In the next moment, they all disappeared. A monstrous aura swept out in all directions. This person held a large black flag. As he waved it, monstrous winds and clouds swept out. It caused some people in the nearby starry sky to fall one after another. Heichi. It was actually him. This person was also incredible. He and his flag swept across the world. The geniuses of the same generation at that time could not raise their heads at all. No one was a match for him. This person had also chosen to be sealed back then. Unexpectedly, he had also come out now. This was also a double champion. In addition to these two people, a few other figures appeared in the starry sky of the universe. These people had all been sealed and sleeping and had only come out now. Not only that, but even two figures walked out of the true spirit world. These two people had also fallen into a deep slumber here. One of them was holding a battle spear and wearing battle armor, looking extraordinarily mighty. The other person was carrying a thunder hammer on his back. He was like a thunder god descending to the world, piercing through the 9 heavens. Xiaoying, Thunder King. He was also a double champion. The appearance of these people once again shocked the universe. Oh my god! How could there be so many double champions? One had to know that there were only 3 double champions that they knew so far. Lin Xian, the dead Hun Tian, and the Fire Qilin. Chapter 53:14. The appearance of these powerhouses shocked the entire universe. There were actually so many double crown champions. However, some of the older generation experts explained that they were not from this era. They were from the previous era, or even the era before that. They had no hope of becoming emperors back then, so they had chosen to seal themselves in sleep, in order to find a suitable opportunity to awaken. Now it seems like our era is the best one. These sleeping powerhouses have awakened. Everyone gasped when they heard this. The best era. They were all pale and on the verge of fainting. Being in the same era as such powerhouses made them despair. However, some people were also excited, as they had no hope to begin with. Only Lin Xian and a few others had any hope. Now that a few more powerhouses had appeared, the battle would definitely be even more exciting. Such a scene was rarely seen in tens of thousands of years. How could they not be excited when they saw it now? The people from the emperor race were also shocked. Even the emperor's sons felt immense pressure. All along, their bloodlines had been the strongest. They were high and mighty and did not take anyone seriously. However, Lin Xian had appeared and killed the emperor's sons. Then the double crown champions had appeared and suppressed them. Now a few more double crown champions had appeared in succession, making them despair. Could it be that they were going to be defeated forever? Some powerhouses from the emperor race said. They had appeared because there was an opportunity to become emperors in this era. I think it's because of the news about Lin Wudi. Lin Wudi had been in the limelight for too long. He had first killed the Dragon Prince. Now he had killed the chaotic double crown champion, which made the other double crown champions terrified. After all, no matter how strong they were, it would not be easy for them to kill the other double crown champions. However, Lin Xian had done it. They had probably come out of seclusion because of Lin Xian. Voices of discussion rang out once again. What happened next was even more shocking. On this full moon night, the Path sect of the Holy Abyss ancient city was attacked. A figure descended from the sky and a huge hand covered the entire Divine Union. They wanted to destroy it. The people of the Divine Union vomited mouthfuls of blood. The Divine Union array formation. At the critical moment of shattering, the savage desolate ancestor took action, forcing the enemy back. However, that figure was too mysterious. Even now no one knew who it was. However, it wasn't over yet. True Spirit World and Deity Palace were also under attack. A mysterious man slashed out with his sword, almost splitting the entire temple into 2 halves. After all, the Divine Palace was extraordinary. There was a formation left behind by Xia Juyo, which blocked the sword. In fact, the spirit formation even began to counterattack and beat back the enemy. The crowd was in an uproar. First it was the Divine Union. Now it was the Sacred Hall. After all, Lin Xian was the one standing behind these 2 forces. Could it be that someone was going to attack Lin Xian? This was a test. If Lin Xian didn't come out when the Divine Union and the Sacred Hall were attacked, that meant that Lin Xian was seriously injured. Or perhaps he had already fallen. Next, these people would be able to attack without restraint. For a moment, the universe was shaken. Who exactly was it? 10,000 Dragons Court? The Chaotic Clan? or the new double crown king? In the Yuhua ancient city, Murong Qingqing and the others frowned when they heard this news. They discussed and prepared for a while before returning. Lin Xian was still recovering in seclusion. However, they weren't worried. There weren't many people who could threaten Lin Xian now, unless it was a boundary emperor or one of those terrifying extreme weapons. The dark red divine dragon and the others discussed for a while before returning to their respective sections. After all, no one knew where those enemies would attack next. Sure enough, someone attacked the Black Sea dragons. The dark red divine dragon transformed into a dragon blade and fought a great battle. Although he was defeated, his fighting strength was still shocking. He was also a big shot. Although he couldn't compare to the double crown king, he was strong enough to contend with the emperor's son. An even more shocking battle was Shen Jingqiu. Shen Jingqiu was actually able to contend with the mysterious enemy. The power she displayed was very terrifying, especially the figure in the golden vortex that she summoned. Even the big shots felt their scalps go numb. What exactly was Shen Jingqiu cultivating? Some of the sacred lords also gasped. Taboo martial arts. This was definitely a taboo martial art like the demonic heaven-devouring skill. In addition to Shen Jingqiu, Murong Qingqing and Yan Ruyu also displayed powerful strength that shocked everyone. These were all people around Lin Xian. Although Lin Xian hadn't appeared yet, the people around him were enough to sweep through everything. These people were all from the Divine Union. The Divine Union was an alliance that covered many families and sections. Now there were so many young big shots and geniuses. The number of these geniuses was probably more than the Emperor clan. Inside the sword world, Lin Xian was still cultivating. Endless power was condensing in his body. Lin Xian had a lot of treasures in his hands. There were countless spiritual herbs growing in the Four-Spirit Valley. The effects were much better than outside. In addition, there was the heavenly spring of life under the heavenly tree. Therefore, Lin Xian's recovery wasn't a big deal. At this moment, his injuries had already healed. However, he didn't stop cultivating. This battle was considered a pinnacle battle. Hun Tian was indeed the strongest expert he had met so far. After all, his physique surpassed the nine-yang divine body. Moreover, his bloodline could transform into the chaotic divine axe. Although he won this battle, it also brought him danger. In this battle, he felt that he was about to break through his bottleneck. For the next year, Lin Xian spent all his time cultivating. He absorbed endless power. On this day, a rumbling sound came from his body. Then thunder fell from the sky and turned into a sea of lightning. It drowned him. Lin Xian roared and fought against it. 3 months later, he walked out of the sea of lightning. The aura on his body was much stronger than before. The Hellfire Dragon was also shocked. He broke through the middle stage of the Great Sage. He didn't expect this pinnacle battle to bring so many benefits to Lin Xian. The corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled up into a smile. He had broken through a level. His strength had greatly improved compared to before. Naturally, he was happy. Then he spent another half a year to stabilize his realm. Lin Xian used the Rinnegan again. The Rinnegan had endless uses. It could summon the Samsara sword. Although it was just an illusion, it still shocked him greatly. Not only that, with the power in his soul, he could only summon it once. Even if he broke through, it would be difficult to summon it a second time. However, its power was absolutely terrifying. Of course, other than summoning the Samsara sword, the Rinnegan had other uses. The 6 paths of reincarnation, each path had different uses. However, with only one eye, Lin Xian could only master the 3 paths of heaven, earth, and man. The stars in Lin Xian's eyes disappeared. The power of Samsara kept appearing. After studying for more than a year, he stood up. Counting the time, 3 years had already passed. He wondered what changes had happened outside in these 3 years. Chapter 53:15. When he came out, only Toad and Purple Star were waiting for him. What about the others? Lin Xian asked. The Toad hopped over and briefly recounted what had happened in the past 3 years. Lin Wudi's face sank. Someone had dared to attack the Divine Union and the Sacred Hall. Were they testing him? Humph. He snorted coldly. Fortunately, Murong Qingqing, the dark red divine dragon, and the others had returned. Now these people could take care of themselves, so he wasn't worried. Young Master Lin, your aura. Purple Star was even more shocked. She could now feel that Lin Xian's aura had become even stronger than before. Toad also exclaimed in surprise. He had broken through, right? This was too unbelievable. Little White also flew over and blinked her big eyes. Congratulations on breaking through. Lin Xian smiled and gave the little girl some spirit fruits. Then he said, that's right, I have indeed broken through. Therefore, those enemies who want to make a move on me are probably in despair. The Hall Master of the Nebula Immortal platform also rushed over personally. When he saw that Lin Xian had not only recovered from his injuries, but his cultivation base had also improved, his face was full of joy. Great. It seemed like they had made the right choice in choosing Lin Xian. Your Highness, what do you plan to do next? They asked. Lin Xian said, let's go out and take a look. Lin Xian wasn't in a hurry to leave, as he had just broken through and had a new understanding of the Great Path. Therefore he could feel that there was still a mysterious aura in the Yuhua ancient city. He wanted to stay here and comprehend it. Your Highness, you have to be careful. Some very powerful experts have appeared recently, and they seem to be coming for you. Lin Xian nodded. Then, they took a few black robes and put them on to cover their faces. The group walked out. Toad and Little White had already run away, while Purple Star followed Lin Xian. The Yuhua ancient city was very big. After they left, they went to an ancient temple. Lin Xian was there, comprehending the mysterious aura and great path. At that moment, he frowned and turned his head to look into the distance. There was a fight. Not long after, Purple Star also felt it. He found that a few auras were rushing over here. It was obvious that someone was being hunted. Lin Xian ignored him. Battles happened every day. If they weren't directed at him, he wouldn't care. But not long after, Purple Star frowned. He said that he felt an aura that was very familiar. He seems to be someone from our 9-star Immortal Foundation. Someone with a 9-star Immortal Foundation? Let's go and take a look. Lin Xian and Yi Zichen walked forward. Not long after, they saw people fighting up ahead. 3 people besieging 1 person? Furthermore, it was a young man. At this moment, his body was stained with blood and his face was full of wounds. Brat, don't wait anymore. Hand over the item obediently. How could you possibly be a match for us? The young man gritted his teeth. Don't even think about it. This jade pendant was given to me by Big Brother Purple Star. He asked me to take care of it, so how could I hand it over to you? I absolutely cannot let down Big Brother Purple Star. What Big Brother Purple Star? He actually dared to stand together with Lin Wudi. He died a few years ago. Why do you have to lose your life for a dead person? The 3 people around him sneered. Lin Xian, who had rushed over, saw this scene and immediately narrowed his eyes. Purple Star, who was at the side, was furious. His killing intent instantly emerged. You're courting death. He rushed out recklessly. The few people fighting in front turned their heads. In the next moment, they saw a black-robed man who instantly rushed over. Who are you? The 3 experts shouted coldly. You dare to interfere with the matters of our 9-star Immortal Foundation? Scram. Are you worthy of being a 9-star Immortal Foundation? Purple Star's face was incomparably cold. Killing intent emerged from his body. Then he suddenly attacked. A huge hand covered the sky, with starlight on it, instantly piercing through heaven and earth. One of them was smashed into pieces, blood splattering everywhere. The expressions of the other 2 also changed. You're courting death. They were furious. Purple Star's black robe was lifted, revealing his true face. You can try it. Big Brother Purple Star. It's you. The injured young man exclaimed when he saw this scene. He was really too happy. He didn't expect Big Brother Purple Star to be alive. The other 2 were dumbfounded. You're not dead? That's impossible. Let's go. The 2 of them turned around and fled. However, Purple Star roared angrily. The starlight blade rushed into the sky and slashed forward. It instantly killed the 2 of them. Although the 2 in front were also experts, Purple Star was a young powerhouse. At this moment, how could the 2 of them withstand his full strength attack? Ziyu, what's going on? Why are you being chased by a 9-star Immortal Foundation expert? Madam Purple Star frowned tightly. Big brother, you don't know. In the shocking battle 3 years ago, you followed Lin Wudy. After that, Lin Wudy and the others disappeared, and you didn't appear for 3 years. Everyone guessed that you were already dead. Therefore, the power of the 9-star Immortal Foundation changed. Chen Mu obtained the support of the Sky Snake clan, and recruited a few experts, so his strength became stronger and stronger. Therefore, they attacked the people of our bloodline. First, they suppressed us and snatched our resources. Later, they finally shed all pretense of cordiality and started to hunt us down. This time, they want Big Brother Purple Star's treasury. That's why they chased me and snatched the jade pendant in my hand. After hearing this, Purple Star was instantly angry. That jade pendant was the key to opening the array. That's why Ziyu was being chased. Damn it. Chen Mu was actually so arrogant. Didn't the others care? Ziyu sighed. How could he care? The 9-star princess couldn't do it either. Besides, our Immortal Foundation expert had once gone against Lin Wudy. Lin Wudy even killed our hall master. Big brother, you followed Lin Wudy. We're already very lucky that we weren't killed directly. Damn it. Purple Star's eyes turned red. At this moment, Lin Xian walked over from behind and patted Purple Star's shoulder. Don't worry, your bloodline won't flow in vain. From now on, I'll let you control the 9-star Immortal Foundation. Ziyu was stunned. He looked at the black-robed man in front of him with a shocked expression. Who was this person? He dared to say such big words. One had to know that the new hall master of the 9-star Immortal Foundation was an expert from Chen Mu's bloodline. He was in existence on the level of a divine ancestor. Where did this black-robed man get his strength from? He had a doubtful look on his face. However, Purple Star beside him said respectfully, "Thank you, young master." Ziyu, who was at the side, was stunned. His big brother actually believed such big words? It was too unbelievable. However, Purple Star said, "Ziyu, this is Lin Wudy, young master Lin. Hurry up and greet him." Ziyu's mind was instantly dumbfounded. Lin Wudy. These 3 words were like thunder, leaving him dumbfounded. The black-robed man in front of him was the legendary Lin Wudy. Now he finally understood why the other party dared to say such big words. Why did his big brother believe him? Chapter 53:16. Greetings, Lord Lin Wudy. Ziyu said with a careful expression. He was really too scared. This was the supreme existence who killed the Double Crown King. He was a supreme demon king. If not for Madam Purple Star being here, he would have been scared to tears. Lin Xian nodded slightly at him and greeted him. Then he looked at Madam Purple Star and said, "It seems that there have been a lot of changes in the past 3 years. Because you stayed by my side, you caused your family to suffer such losses. Let's go, we'll go to the 9-star Immortal platform now. I'll get justice for you." "Thank you, young master." Madam Purple Star was overjoyed. Ziyu was also surprised. Lin Wudy wasn't the legendary demon. He felt that he was easy to get along with. He said, "Young Master Lin, I'll lead the way." The group walked forward again. The 9-star Immortal platform was also extremely vast. There were many palaces and pavilions inside, and they were divided into many mansions that represented different forces. There were a total of 3 forces in the 9-star Immortal platform. Chen Mu, the 9-star princess, and Madam Purple Star were the young geniuses of these 3 forces. The previous palace master was an expert from the 9-star Palace Masters faction. Therefore, the 9-star Palace Masters faction was the strongest. However, this palace master was killed by Lin Xian. Therefore, the 9-star Palace Masters faction gradually declined. Chen Mu's faction received the support of the Sky Snake clan, and instantly became stronger. In addition, their faction became the new palace master, so they were now at the peak of their power. They began to suppress Madam Purple Star's faction, and even wanted to devour them. The Sky Snake clan was nothing to be afraid of. Lin Xian sneered after hearing this. The previous Kai Lingyi was no match for him at all. Now that his cultivation had broken through, his strength had increased greatly. The other party was even more no match for him. The group returned and went to Madam Purple Star's mansion. After entering, they found that the mansion was much more dilapidated, and there weren't many people inside. They didn't know if they were captured or suppressed. After Ziyu returned, just as he entered the courtyard, someone sneered. You still know to come back. Have you thought it through and decided to give us the array formation jade pendant? If you knew this would happen, you wouldn't have done it back then. Hurry up and kneel down and hand over the jade pendant. A few figures walked out from the main hall in front of him with sneers on their faces. They were all from Chunmu's line. One of them was an expert from the Heavenly Serpent clan. The corners of his mouth curled up as he sat there, coldly paying attention to her. Zixing's little face turned pale, and he clenched his fists. These people had gone too far. At this moment, Zixing also walked out from behind and said coldly, You bunch of trash dare to behave atrociously in our mansion? Who gave you the courage? Kneel and accept your death. Hearing this, the saints at the front were stunned. They looked ahead and discovered that it was a black-robed man. Their expressions immediately darkened. Who do you think you are? How dare you scold us? You are courting death. Do you believe that I'll make you wish you were dead? Ziyu, where did you get this reinforcements from? Just these two people dare to go against us? I think you're courting death. Among them, a middle-aged man stretched out a large hand to grab Ziyu, wanting to cripple him. Boom. At this moment, a galaxy saber light chopped off the huge hand. The middle-aged man screamed. Blood dripped from his palm, and his expression became ferocious. How dare you hurt me? Men. With a command, countless figures appeared in the surroundings. They were murderous and sealed off the entire area. I'll make them wish they were dead. Wish they were dead? Zixing sneered. Do you have the ability? He took off his black robe again, revealing his true face. The pupils of the surrounding people constricted when they saw this scene. What? You're not dead? The middle-aged man was so frightened that he almost knelt on the ground because the other party was Zixing. Back then, he was one of the 3 top prodigies with a 9-form immortal foundation. How could he not know him? Didn't you die in the battle 3 years ago? How could you still be alive? His expression became terrified. The others also sucked in a breath of cold air. I'm dead? Who told you that I'm dead? If I'm dead, you can make a move on the people of our lineage? An extremely terrifying killing intent erupted from Zixing's eyes. He snorted coldly and slashed forward with his saber. The galaxy saber light turned into the Milky Way and swept across the air. No. The middle-aged man roared crazily, and he quickly dodged. He was no match for Zixing at all. However, he was still too slow, and the saber cut him in half. His body and soul were destroyed. He fell into a pool of blood. The surrounding people were shocked. Zixing was too powerful. He was a young powerhouse. He was not someone they could contend against at all. After Zixing killed the middle-aged man, he looked forward again. He stared at the powerhouse of the Sky Snake clan who was sitting there. He said coldly, That's my seat. Who allowed you to sit there? Get down here. The powerhouse of the Sky Snake clan also opened his eyes. There was a cold green light in his eyes as he stared straight ahead. You're not dead. He was extremely surprised. But soon he sneered. So what? Now that the situation is over, you can no longer make a comeback. Zixing snorted coldly. A mere Sky Snake clan dares to say that the situation is over? I'll kill you today. The silver saber light slashed down again. The powerhouse of the Sky Snake clan was furious. He slapped out with his palm. His palm turned into thousands of sky snakes that danced between heaven and earth. Every slash carried an extremely powerful law. It was incomparably terrifying. The palm was like 1,000 snakes sweeping across. It was terrifying to the extreme. Boom. The two collided, and the entire void was completely shattered. However, at this moment, Zixing attacked again. He formed a seal with his palm, and his right hand turned into a dazzling star that pierced through heaven and earth. It directly pierced through the other party's body. The powerhouse of the Sky Snake clan spat out blood and flew backward. He was severely injured. How is that possible? How can you be so strong? Zixing sneered. If you were Kaling E, I might have fought with all my strength. But with just you, do you think you can contend against me? Go to hell. He formed a seal with his palm again, and like a meteorite falling, he smashed the other party into pieces. Dead. The surrounding people were shocked. A powerhouse of the Sky Snake clan had fallen? Zixing roared at the sky. Chenmu, get out here. He knew that all of this was done by Chenmu, and he had to kill him. A terrifying voice spread in all directions. In an instant, more than half of the 9-star immortal platforms heard it. Countless people were shocked. The people of Chenmu's clan were instantly enraged. Who was it? Who dared to scold our highness? Do you want to die? I want to see who is so daring. Killing intent appeared one after another. The current Chenmu had become the young master of the 9-star immortal platforms, and would become the new palace master in the future. Such a person's identity was extraordinary. He was even more terrifying than the 9-star princess. No one dared to provoke him. But now someone dared to challenge him. They couldn't bear it. The people of the 9-star palace master's clan were also shocked. Who was it? Chapter 53:17. It seemed to be Purple Star's aura. No way. Isn't he dead? He's still alive. And he's back. Cries of surprise rang out one after another. In an instant, many people flew towards the mansion. They saw Purple Star standing in midair with starlight surrounding his body. Heavens, it's really him. He's still alive. In addition, those from Purple Star's faction were all excited. Great, our young prodigy is still alive. As long as Purple Star was still alive, there was hope for their faction. Those from the 9-star Palace Master's faction also took a deep breath. It seemed that the situation had changed. If Purple Star and the 9-star princess joined forces, they might be able to turn the tables. However, at this moment, an old man next to the 9-star princess sighed. Even if they could defeat Chenmu together, they still had the Heavenly Snake clan behind them. Countless people from Purple Star's faction quickly gathered. They were all from their faction. Xing, you're back. It's great. Xinger, avenge us. Someone clenched his fists and said. There were also some old men who sighed. No, they're too powerful. Xinger, you'd better leave. As long as you're alive, there's hope for us. Don't worry, everyone. I'm here to save you today. Purple Star said. The other old men shook their heads and sighed. You don't know. It's not just Chenmu. He has the Heavenly Snake clan behind him, and there are even a few terrifying clans and sections. They're all secretly making a move. You're no match for them. At this point, they sighed heavily. Zixu, who was next to them, was full of anticipation. He had thought the same before, but now he had changed his mind. He looked at the black-robed man standing behind him who had been silent all this time. As long as this person was here, no matter who the enemy was, everything could be resolved. Purple Star looked into the distance and shouted angrily. Chenmu, are you still not going to come out? In the distance, in the endless palaces, rumbling sounds could be heard. Terrifying starlight pierced through heaven and earth. Then, a man clad in battle armor soared into the sky like a god of war. He had an extraordinary aura about him. Purple Star, you're still alive. What a surprise. But so what? I'll personally send you to hell today. As he spoke, he waved his hand, and his spear swept out like a dragon swinging its tail in the air. He directly charged towards Purple Star. Purple Star unleashed a terrifying star river palm. Her two palms transformed into 2 star rivers and shot out. The two collided with each other, causing an earth-shattering sound to ring out. Then, they both dissipated. You're just a so-so. You want to kill me? Just a little bit more. Purple Star's eyes erupted with an extremely terrifying light. He pulled out the Milky Way saber light and slashed out, shattering heaven and earth. This slash caused the expressions of the surrounding people to change. Even Chenmu's pupils constricted. He realized that his opponent's saber technique was even more terrifying than before. His face was gloomy. He pulled out a long spear, held it with both hands, and thrust it out. With a clang, it was shaken to the point that its chi and blood were in turmoil. At this time, another blade slashed out. It was as heavy as a mountain, shattering the void. The two of them fought fiercely. The surrounding people were all watching nervously. I wonder who will win and who will lose in this battle. Xinger, you can't lose. The people of the Purple Star bloodline were extremely nervous. The 9-star Palace Master and the others were also shocked. Had Purple Star's saber techniques become so terrifying in the past 3 years? In the sky, Chunmu's face was also extremely gloomy. Although he was already familiar with his opponent's saber technique, the power contained in it was unimaginable. It caused his chi and blood to churn more and more. In the end, he spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. He was injured. Everyone was in an uproar. They did not expect Chunmu to be injured. The people of the Purple Star bloodline all cheered. The people on the 9-star princess side were also shocked. She said that Purple Star had become even more powerful than 3 years ago. Purple Star held the long saber in his hand and pointed it forward. "You're no match for me at all. Kid, don't be so arrogant. Do you think I haven't improved in the past 3 years? I was just careless just now." Chunmu roared angrily. The next moment he roared into the sky, and a starry sky chart appeared on his back. The starry sky chart kept spinning and sweeping, sealing the world in all directions. At this moment, everyone felt a sense of horror. 10 Extremities Starry Sky Chart. He had actually mastered such a divine ability. Many people were shocked. The 9-star princess pupils also shrank. Damn it, Chunmu had been hiding his strength before. Not good. Xing run. The faces of those from the Purple Star faction also became extremely ugly, because the 10 Extremities Starry Sky Chart was an extremely terrifying technique on the 9-star immortal platform. However, it was extremely difficult to master. Many people had tried to cultivate it in the past, but they had all failed. Not only that, some people had even died. One could imagine how domineering this divine ability was. They did not expect Chunmu to have mastered it. Even Ziyu, who was standing at the side, was extremely nervous. He looked at Lin Xian with anticipation in his eyes. He seemed to be asking for Lin Xian's opinion. Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back. He looked forward and said indifferently, "Don't worry, Purple Star did not waste the past 3 years. So there was no need to worry about him." Although Lin Xian had been in seclusion for the past 3 years, he understood after coming out. Purple Star had been cultivating for the past 3 years, and he often sparred with Yi Wudao, Murong Qingqing, and the Dark Red Divine Dragon. So his strength had been steadily improving. Madam Purple Star took a deep breath. "Is this your true strength? No wonder you dare to be so arrogant. But so what? I won't lose." The saber light on his body slashed out bolts of lightning one after another, slashing forward. Chunmu was even more powerful. After he displayed the 10 Extremities Starry Sky Chart, he really looked like a god of war. The long spear in his hand tore through the void. Together with the Starry Sky Chart, it was extremely dazzling. His strength was even more terrifying than before. However, the two of them were still evenly matched. The surrounding people were discussing in surprise. They did not expect Purple Star to be able to resist the 10 Extremities Starry Sky Chart. His Starry River Saber technique was even more terrifying than before. It was extremely profound. "I can feel a unique law." Exclamations sounded one after another. Chunmu's face turned even uglier. He did not expect that after displaying the 10 Extremities Starry Sky Chart, his opponent could still resist it. Thinking of this, he was furious. Despicable brat, go to hell. In an instant, the Starry Sky Chart on his back bloomed with thousands of rays of light. It instantly formed a terrifying space that enveloped Purple Star. In the next moment, the space completely shattered the void. The surrounding people exclaimed, "Not good. Purple Star has been sealed. It's over." The most powerful power of the 10 Extremities Starry Sky Chart was to seal a part of the sky. Then it would completely refine it. This move was enough to kill an expert who was stronger than him. This was also the most terrifying power of the 10 Extremities Starry Sky Chart. Now that Purple Star was enveloped, he was really doomed. Ziyu and the others were pale, and their eyes were filled with despair. Chapter 53:18. The scene in front of them caused countless people to exclaim. Ziyu and the others were in despair. Even the 9-star princess and the others took a deep breath. Lin Xian stood there with his hands behind his back. He looked at the scene in front of him, and a cold light appeared in his eyes. If Purple Star really couldn't hold on, he would make a move. However, he soon smiled because he knew that there was no need for him to make a move. In front of him, the 10 Extremities Starry Sky had sealed the world. Chenmu laughed sinisterly. You want to fight me with just you alone? I'll refine you now. The starlight in the sky turned into starfire and began to refine Purple Star inside. In the 10 extremities starry sky, Purple Star indeed felt a sealing power. Blood dripped from the corner of his mouth. All the bones in his body were making cracking sounds. To be honest, he had indeed encountered the most dangerous moment. However, an extremely cold light burst out from his eyes. Galaxy Saber. At this moment, he suddenly shouted angrily, and the saber light on his body soared into the sky. He seemed to have turned into a peerless saber and rushed forward. He collided with the 10 extremities starry sky. With a clang, the two collided like thunder, and then the world shook. The 10 extremities starry sky was forcefully split open, and a figure rushed out. He slashed forward with irresistible force. With a slash, Chenmu was sent flying. A terrifying crack appeared on Chenmu's body, and his internal organs were exposed. His sacred blood turned into a sea of blood. This sudden change caused the surrounding people to be dumbfounded. How was that possible? The 10 extremities starry sky chart was broken. It was too unbelievable. That saber was too terrifying. Did he use the one with the saber? This purple star was incredible. The powerhouses who were watching the battle were also shocked. Purple Star stood there with a pale face. Although his body was stained with blood, his saber technique was even more dazzling. I've said it before, you're no match for me at all. Across the sea of blood, Chenmu gritted his teeth with a ferocious expression. Damn it! His strongest ultimate skill had been broken by the other party? No. I don't believe it. I want you dead. He roared crazily. Why aren't you coming out? With a roar, the surrounding void shattered, and another person in the distance rose into the sky. Between heaven and earth, the phantoms of 10,000 snakes were roaring. They shattered the void. Everyone felt their scalps go numb. It was the Heavenly Snake Clan. Walking at the very front was a woman in colorful clothes. She was Kailingi, a genius of the Heavenly Serpent Clan. On the other side, the sky was filled with frost, and a man walked out. Ice surrounded his body, sealing the world in ice. At the same time, dragon scales flickered. He was an expert of the Ice Dragon Clan. His strength was not any weaker than Kailingi. This was obviously a young giant. Who would have thought that there would be two young giants behind Chenmu? The 9-star princess smiled bitterly. This was also the reason why she had been defeated. Even if she joined forces with Purple Star, it would still be difficult to resist these three people. 3 tycoon-level geniuses walked out and stared at Purple Star. This caused the void on the Purple Star's side to constantly shatter. The faces of Ziyu and the others turned ugly. Oh no, they were really worried now. Purple Star was indeed powerful, but being able to defeat Chenmu with her strength alone had shocked them. However, now that 2 young giants had appeared, things were different. Kailingi walked out and said with a smile, "Young Master Purple Star, you're really lucky. You didn't die in the shocking battle 3 years ago. However, it's a pity that your good luck ends here. If you hide your identity from now on, you might still be able to live. However, you shouldn't have come back. There's no place for you on the 9-star immortal platform. Today, if you obediently submit to us, you might still be able to live. Otherwise, we can only send you to hell." The Ice Dragon man next to him also sneered. Why bother talking nonsense with him? Just take him down. If you think it's a pity to kill him, you can make him our battle servant. There was a trace of ferocity in his eyes. This kid used to follow Lin Wudi, but so what? Lin Wudi had not appeared for 3 years. Perhaps he was seriously injured in the battle with Hun Tian and had died. Speaking of this, he laughed smugly. The ice and snow in the sky became even more terrifying. The endless palaces below were all sealed in ice, and even Ziyu and the others were covered in thick frost. You're no match for me at all. What do you have to fight me? Chenmu also sneered again. Although his body was stained with blood, he looked like a demon. Looking at this scene, Purple Star shook his head and sighed. He looked at Chenmu and said coldly, "You'll definitely die." He then looked at Kailingi. The Ice Dragon man said coldly, "If the two of you kneel down and kowtow now, you might be able to live." As soon as these words came out, the surrounding people were stunned. What kind of joke was this? Where did Purple Star get the courage to say such words? One had to know that there were 3 young giants in front of them. No matter how powerful Purple Star was, could he defeat them? He reckoned that he wouldn't even be able to escape alive. Stupid thing, who gave you the courage? Did water get into your brain? Someone like you dares to threaten us? The 3 of them were also angry, and terrifying killing intent emerged from their bodies. They joined forces and walked forward. In an instant, the sky fell and the earth cracked, and many people vomited blood and were sent flying. Purple Star's expression also changed, and the wounds on his body also split open. However, at this moment, a hand patted his shoulder and gave him a surge of strength. Then, a black-robed man walked forward. I gave him the courage. Lin Xian walked forward and blocked the terrifying murderous aura coming from the 3 of them. The surrounding elders were all stunned. Who was this person? He's too strong. Why do they feel that he's even stronger than Purple Star? Ziyu, on the other hand, was excited. Great, young Master Lin has made a move. Elder, we're saved. With young Master Lin making a move, we definitely have hope. Purple Star also bowed respectfully. Thank you, young master. When the surrounding elders saw this scene, their pupils constricted. Could it be? They thought of a possibility and then gasped. In front, Chen Mu and the other 2 frowned again. They looked at the black-robed man who suddenly appeared in front of them, and their faces were incomparably cold. Who are you? How dare you interfere in our affairs? Do you want to die? Kneel now and cripple your own arms. Get out, and I can spare your life. Spare my life? Lin Xian smiled. Those who dare to say such words to me have already died 10,000 times. As for who I am, open your dog eyes wide and see clearly. Lin Xian's black robe fluttered, and the cloak split open, revealing a handsome face. In the next moment, the pupils of the 3 people in front shrank. Lin Wudi, it's you. You're not dead. The 3 young giants in front roared in horror. Chapter 53:19. Lin Xian's appearance shocked everyone, especially Chen Mu and the other 2 at the front. Their faces turned extremely ugly. Although they were confident and fearless, it did not mean that they were not afraid of Lin Xian. This was Lin Wudi. He was the supreme existence that killed the Double Crown King. How could they be a match for him? Damn it, retreat. They quickly retreated. The surrounding people were shocked. Lin Wudi had only shown his face, and he had already scared off 3 young giants. Who could be a match for such terror? Lin Xian snorted. Don't you think it's too late to leave now? The light of reincarnation appeared in his eyes, and turned into a world of reincarnation, suppressing everything. Suddenly, the 3 of them were blocked. Get lost. Chen Mu let out a furious roar as starlight shot out from his body. However, it was useless. They were all blocked. I don't believe it. Kai Ling turned into a heavenly snake and roared at the sky. Her body danced and tore the 9 heavens apart. However, she could not tear the world of reincarnation apart. On the other side, Ice Dragon was the same. He shot out a sky full of frost and turned it into an ice dragon, but it was trapped here. Damn it. The 3 of them roared crazily. Chen Mu gritted his teeth and said. He was using the Rinnegan. It was a terrifying eye technique. However, with his soul power he would not be able to use it for long. After he said that, the other 2 were relieved. They only needed to wait for the power of reincarnation to disappear, and they would be able to fight their way out. However, Lin Xian had already made his move. He would not give these people any time to wait. Heavenly path of reincarnation. With a furious roar, a huge hand appeared in the sky and pressed down on the ground. Its target was Chen Mu. Chen Mu roared. 10 extremities starry sky map. In an instant, the surrounding space turned into a starry sky and sealed the hand of heaven above. The surrounding people were also shocked. Could this attack be blocked? They were still confident. After all, the 10 extremities starry sky map was an unparalleled superpower. With one attack, the sky fell and the earth cracked. The 10 extremities starry sky map shook and then broke into pieces. The heavenly hand descended from the sky and enveloped Chen Mu. Chen Mu's face was filled with despair. This was impossible. His 10 extremities starry sky chart was so terrifying that it could seal everything. But right now, Under the gigantic hand of the heavens, he was completely powerless to resist. No. He became terrified and turned to flee. This was the power of a young supremacy. The gap between them was really too big. He was no match for him at all. Unfortunately, he could not escape at all. The hand of the heavens fell, and the heavenly path of reincarnation crushed him. His body turned into a bloody mist, and his soul was dissipated by the samsara. Dead. The surrounding people were dumbfounded by this scene. They couldn't believe it. That was a young magnate, but now he was killed in a single move. This Lin Wudi was too terrifying. No. Young master. Chen Mu's people screamed crazily. Madame Purple Star and the others clenched their fists. They saw hope. This was great. With Lin Wudi taking action, he could sweep away everything in the world. The other two people, Kai Lingyi and Ice Dragon, were scared out of their wits when they saw this scene. Even if the two of them were stronger than Chen Mu, they were not much stronger. Chen Mu was killed in a single move. Could they withstand it? Therefore they fled crazily. Kai Lingyi shouted angrily. She turned into a heavenly snake. There was an extremely terrifying aura on it, as if an ancient demonic beast had been revived. He charged forward. With a boom, the laws shook, and multicolored light shone. This attack could penetrate a star. However, it could not shake the world of reincarnation. Lin Xian stood in the void and looked at this scene with a cold expression. He said that you can't break the world of reincarnation. As he spoke, he walked forward. A Taiji diagram appeared in his hand. It kept spinning and emitted a terrifying power. Damn it! Kai Lingyi shouted angrily. She turned into a heavenly snake and spat out terrifying poison. At the same time, she raised her tail high and slashed down. It was like a heavenly knife that could destroy everything. It charged toward Lin Xian. There were black runes on the tail. They were highly toxic. Even if it was the other young giants, they would definitely die if they were enveloped by it. That was the power of his bloodline. Boom. Lin Xian did not dodge at all. Instead, he waved the Taiji diagram to resist. The two of them collided, producing an earth-shattering sound. That's great. Kai Lingyi smiled. The people of the Heavenly Snake clan in the distance also snorted. Lin Wudi, you're too careless. Although you're powerful, can you withstand thousands of poisons? Our Heavenly Snake Princess's poison is beyond your imagination. Even a divine ancestor would have to retreat, let alone you. In their opinion, Lin Xian was definitely poisoned. It was very likely that he was seriously injured. Next, they could attack. In the poisonous fog in front of them, the Taiji diagram kept spinning. It turned into yin and yang and tore everything apart. Lin Xian walked out unharmed. How was that possible? The eyes of the people of the Heavenly Snake clan almost popped out. Even Kai Lingyi's pupils constricted. Impossible. Her Heavenly Snake poison, which could threaten a divine ancestor, was useless? Lin Xian snorted coldly. He held the Taiji diagram in his hand, and all the poison in the sky was sealed in the Taiji diagram. It could not hurt him at all. In the next moment, he threw out the Taiji diagram, which turned into a ray of piercing light. Taiji slash. Like a bolt of lightning, it charged toward the Heavenly Snake clan. Kai Lingyi tried her best to dodge. Her body circled and formed the strongest defense. However, it was useless. The attack directly hit her vital point. She let out a miserable cry as her body was instantly torn into pieces. That was her vital point. It was her most fatal point. That attack made her hover between life and death. Not only that, but the Taiji diagram also released an extremely terrifying cold aura. That was the law of death, which turned her broken body into a pile of bones. Was she dead? Countless people were shocked. The people of the Heavenly Snake clan also turned pale. Suddenly, among the bones that rushed out, there were tens of thousands of finger-sized snakes that drilled into the ground. She wasn't dead. She escaped. Countless people exclaimed. The people of the Heavenly Snake clan were also delighted. Great. The Heavenly Snake clan was a rare beast of heaven and earth. A ferocious beast from ancient times. They definitely had a super powerful escape method. Now their princess had used a life-saving method, but they were also gnashing their teeth. Once she used that method, although she could survive, She would definitely be seriously injured and her foundation would be damaged. It would be difficult to recover without 500 years. She wasn't dead yet? Lin Xian was also surprised. She had some tricks up her sleeve. However, do you think you can escape? He shouted coldly, and the Nine-Yang divine body released a terrifying Nine-Yang divine fire that swept across the surroundings. It burned the world. At this moment, Lin Xian turned into the sun god of war. He was like the sun, and his terrifying light enveloped the world. In an instant, the escaping heavenly snakes under the ground screamed crazily. Chapter 53:20. He died again. Everyone was stunned. The people from the Sky Snake clan roared crazily. They couldn't accept it. Had their clan's proud daughter fallen? It was like a bolt from the blue to them. The 9-star princess and the others were terrified. Lin Xian was too powerful. He killed Chen Mu in one move. He killed Kai Lingyi in 2 moves. His skills were heaven-defying. Who among the younger generation could be his match? Lin Xian turned around and looked at the last young giant, the Ice Dragon Elite. The Ice Dragon Elite's face turned pale. He was still full of confidence and had the confidence to fight. However, when he saw the 2 elites die with his own eyes, he was scared out of his wits. He didn't dare to resist Lin Xian's gaze. He said, "Young Master Lin, this is a misunderstanding." A misunderstanding? Lin Xian smiled. Since it's a misunderstanding, you can pay for it with your life. The Ice Dragon Elite was stunned. The smile on his face froze. Lin Xian sneered. Why? You're not going to do it yourself? Then I'll do it for you and send you to hell. As he said that, he slashed out with his sword. That sword was extremely terrifying and sharp. It turned into the shadow of a dragon and descended from the sky. Damn it! The Ice Dragon Elite roared and froze the world. He unleashed the terrifying power of his bloodline and transformed into tens of millions of ice dragon phantoms, sealing the entire heaven and earth in ice. He quickly retreated and fled into the distance. The sword chi in the sky was frozen, but it was useless. With a crack, the sword chi shone in all directions and the cold light pierced through the world. With one slash, the thousands of frost were split in half. Not only that, the entire world was split open and a large crack spread into the distance. Then it enveloped the ice dragon in the distance. It tore his body apart. Endless cracks appeared on the Ice Dragon Elite's body, and he shattered like cherry blossoms. He didn't even have time to scream before he vanished into thin air. Lin Xian put away his long sword and stood with his hands behind his back like a sword immortal. The surrounding people were dumbfounded. From the moment Lin Xian made his move to the end of the battle, only a few seconds had passed. It could be said that in the blink of an eye, the 3 young giants had all fallen. The world of samsara in the heavenly palace slowly disappeared. Surrounded by a sea of blood, everything was silent. Damn it, you dare to kill our princess? The experts of the Heavenly Snake Clan roared crazily. Lin Xian said coldly as he looked disdainfully at the other party. Do you want revenge? I can give you a chance. The Sky Serpent Clan experts felt their scalps go numb when they heard this. They kept retreating in fear. Who would dare to make a move in such a situation? Moo! But at this time, a crazy roar came from the distance. Immediately after, countless experts rushed out from the surroundings. Another middle-aged man strode over. They were from Chen Mu's line. When the elders saw that Chen Mu had fallen, they roared crazily. Who was it? They had gone too far. They stared straight ahead. When he realized that it was Lin Xian, his eyelids twitched wildly. You are the new palace master? Lin Xian looked at the middle-aged man in front of him and asked in a deep voice. The middle-aged man also felt his scalp go numb. Although he was a palace master, so what? His previous palace master had been killed by this young man in front of him. Therefore, facing Lin Wudi, he didn't dare to be careless at all. Instead, it was as if he was facing a great enemy. Why did young Master Lin kill Chen Mu? You don't seem to have any grudges. The middle-aged man gritted his teeth and asked. Why did he kill him? I stood up for Zixing. Is this reason enough? Hearing this, the middle-aged palace master's pupils constricted. He looked at Zixing in shock. Damn it, Zixing has become Lin Wudi's friend? It was too unbelievable. It seemed that Chenmu had died for nothing this time. He didn't dare to make a move at all. He gritted his teeth and said, "All right, young Master Lin, let's forget about this matter. The mountains will not change, and the rivers will flow forever. We will have a chance to meet again in the future. I won't send you off, young Master Lin." As a dignified Immortal Foundation Palace Master, he dominated the world and controlled a region. But at this moment, facing a young man, he couldn't make a move. He even had to treat him with respect. He felt like he had been slapped in the face. Therefore, he wanted to leave urgently. Lin Xian laughed. "Did I allow you to leave?" The middle-aged palace master stopped and turned his head. He gritted his teeth. What else did young Master Lin want? His voice was unusually cold. "You are not suitable to be a 9-star Immortal Foundation Palace Master." His calm voice sounded like thunder. The surrounding people were all dumbfounded. Especially those from Chenmu's faction, their pupils constricted. The middle-aged palace master also shouted in anger. "Lin Wudi, what do you mean by this? Are you still interfering in the matters of our Immortal Foundation?" Those elders also shouted. "Lin Wudi, don't go overboard. This is our 9-star Immortal Foundation, not your territory." "Overboard?" Lin Xian sneered. "Back then, when you cooperated with the primal chaos race to kill me, did you think about going overboard? It seems that the punishment I gave you last time was too light." Lin Xian emitted a monstrous killing intent. The surrounding people were so frightened that their scalps turned numb. Lin Wudi, was he planning to settle the score now? They had indeed worked together to kill him. If he came looking for them with this reason, it was indeed very reasonable. But if they really fought, would their 9-star Immortal Foundation be able to withstand it? One must know that back then, the Primal Chaos Race's Quasi-Emperor personally came out with so many ancient and Emperor clans to kill Lin Wudi. But they still failed. Now they only had a single Immortal Foundation. Thinking of this, those elders' faces were filled with despair. The middle-aged palace master also took a deep breath. He lowered his head and said, "Young Master Lin, our Immortal Foundation was indeed in the wrong. Hence, the previous palace master died. You have already taken your revenge. Now I will lead the Immortal Foundation. I promise that I will not be your enemy in the future." As a palace master, lowering his head to a young man like this. If this spread out, it would definitely shock everyone. However, Lin Xian shook his head. "I am not at ease. I plan to let Madame Purple Star be the Palace Master of Immortal Foundation." The moment these words came out, those from the 9-star Palace Master's faction were stunned. Those from Madame Purple Star's faction were overjoyed. The sun had recovered. Madame Purple Star even bowed and cupped her fists. "From now on, I will respect young master." "Impossible?" The middle-aged palace master roared crazily. "You have no right to interfere with the matters of our Immortal Foundation." Lin Xian sneered. "Do you think I am discussing with you? I am just informing you. Madame Purple Star, from now on, you are the new palace master of 9-star Immortal Foundation. If they dare to resist, I can help you clean up the sect." "Damn it!" The middle-aged palace master roared. "Get into formation and kill them all." He was really crazy. He had just become the palace master. How could he allow others to snatch his position? Moreover, there was only Lin Wudi now. He could kill them silently. The peerless spirit formation in the surroundings was formed, and those elders were charging over in an overwhelming manner. Lin Xian laughed loudly. "Attack? You guys are courting death." In his eyes, a terrifying reincarnation light appeared. Reincarnation fire. With a glance, the soul fire flew out. Those elders hugged their heads and screamed. Their souls were burning as they fell from the sky one by one. Some of them had their souls destroyed directly. Some were seriously injured. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of experts turned into ashes. The surrounding people felt their scalps go numb. What kind of strength was this? Just a glance was enough to kill so many experts. Chapter 53:21. All of you back off. I will kill him. When the middle-aged palace master saw this, his heart was bleeding. These were all the experts of his faction. Now that so many of them had died, he couldn't accept it. He wanted to kill Lin Fan personally. He was a divine ancestor, the pinnacle existence of the great sage. With a roar, a nebula appeared on his body. Endless starry skies covered the entire area. Then a pagoda appeared. Thousands of rays of starlight flowed on top of it as it charged towards Lin Xian. It was actually the Starry Treasure Pagoda. The surrounding experts exclaimed in shock. Zixing and the others frowned. Previously, they were confused. Why was this middle-aged man the pagoda master? Because this middle-aged man had just reached the pinnacle of the great sage a few years ago. Based on cultivation and experience, he shouldn't be the pagoda master. But now, when they saw the Starry Treasure Pagoda, they didn't understand. Because this person was very talented. Although he had just become a divine ancestor, his future was limitless. The Starry Treasure Pagoda was a secret on the 9-star immortal platforms. It was very difficult to cultivate. It was on par with the 10 Extremities star map. Now that it was cultivated, its power was really terrifying. The Starry Treasure Pagoda in the sky was exceptionally bright. The starlight above it descended and covered Lin Xian completely. Let's see how you will die this time. The middle-aged palace master laughed coldly. He was very confident in his own divine ancestor. Lin Xian scoffed coldly. He took out the Hell God sword and swept it in all directions. Sword light danced around like lightning, causing the surrounding starlight to dim. What a terrifying sword technique. When the surrounding people saw this, they were shocked. This was really the young sword god. When the middle-aged palace master saw this, his face turned cold. With a roar, he let the Starry Treasure Pagoda descend. This was an extremely terrifying divine ancestor. After it descended, it turned into a huge mountain. The entire world began to shake violently, and countless terrifying cracks appeared in the surroundings. The surrounding sword chi was bent. One could imagine how terrifying the Starry Treasure Pagoda was. Seeing this, the middle-aged divine ancestor laughed coldly. Lin Wudi, you will definitely lose this battle. The surrounding spectators were terrified. Lin Fan was too powerful. The Starry Treasure Pagoda was too terrifying. Lin Wudi was still no match for the sacred ancestor. One after another, earth-shattering voices could be heard. Starry Treasure Pagoda? He was indeed very strong. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a terrifying light. However, you underestimate my swordsmanship. Let me show you my swordsmanship. Lin Xian roared and waved his sword. That one sword strike was breathtaking. A terrifying aura pierced through the 9 heavens and 10 earths, causing the Starry Treasure Pagoda to shake violently. The starlight on it dimmed. Then a few more sword strikes landed on it. Instantly, the Starry Treasure Pagoda flew out. The sword chi became more and more terrifying, and all of them hit the same place. The Starry Treasure Pagoda kept on flying backward, and a crack appeared on it. With a cracking sound, it shattered into pieces. The middle-aged sacred leader instantly spat out a mouthful of blood. This was his Tao artifact. They were connected by blood. Now that it was damaged, even his foundation was severely damaged. Blood dyed the sky red. He fell into the sea of blood and roared madly. Impossible. What kind of sword technique was this? He had never seen it before. The others were also shocked. What kind of sword technique did Lin Wudi use? Lin Xian withdrew his sword and said coldly, "This is a sword technique that I created myself. It's called breathtaking." Breathtaking sword technique. Countless people were shocked. This was actually a sword technique that he created himself. Had Lin Wudi already reached this step? Was he going to create his own Tao? The 9-star princess and the others were shocked. To be honest, at their level, creating their own martial arts wasn't a problem at all. However, very few people would use their own martial arts divine abilities. After all, the martial arts divine abilities that had been passed down had been refined for tens of thousands of years, or even millions of years. No matter how strong a sacred leader was, he could only live for a few thousand years. It couldn't be compared to the martial arts divine abilities that had been passed down. Those martial arts divine abilities had been modified by countless ancestors, and were powerful martial arts divine abilities. That was why everyone learned such martial arts divine abilities. But now, Lin Xian's martial arts divine ability had surpassed everything. It was too unbelievable. How high had this person reached in the Sword Tao? It was impossible. How could he create such a terrifying sword technique? The middle-aged sacred lord's face was full of disbelief. Lin Xian said in a deep voice, "Nothing was impossible. It was like a meteor that shone brightly in life, but it dimmed in an instant. Over the years I've seen too many geniuses, and they're all amazing. They rose in the starry sky and swept across the universe, making people remember them instantly. However, they disappeared in a flash and their souls were destroyed. Yin Nantian, the Dragon Prince, and Hun Tian were all geniuses of their generation. But in the end, they all died in my hands. I killed countless geniuses and comprehended the great Tao to create this breathtaking sword technique. Now that you have died in this sword technique, you deserve to die." As he said that, Lin Xian slashed out again. This sword technique was indeed terrifying. When the sword lit up, it illuminated the world and everyone couldn't open their eyes. After the sword, the middle-aged sacred lord's soul was destroyed. The sword light suddenly disappeared. It was extremely strange. Shocking, absolutely shocking. Everyone was silent. Not a single sound could be heard. Lin Xian looked around and asked faintly, "Is there anyone who is unconvinced?" The elders who objected all lowered their heads. They no longer dared to be unconvinced. If they continued to fight, their lineage would probably be destroyed. Therefore they could only say that they were willing to submit. Lin Xian nodded. "All right, from now on Zixing would be the new sacred lord." "Greetings, sacred lord." Everyone took a deep breath and bowed respectfully to Zixing. The elders behind Zixing were extremely excited. This was great. Their lineage had finally become the sacred lord. They would definitely be able to shine in the future. Zixing was also extremely excited. To be honest, he had never thought that he would become the sacred lord one day. Of course, he knew that this was all because of Lin Xian. Lin Xian could make him the sacred lord with a single sentence. But he could also make him fall into the abyss with a single sentence. Therefore he took a deep breath and looked at Lin Xian. "From now on, I am willing to follow young master." "Good, you will be a member of the Divine Union from now on." Lin Xian patted Zixing on the shoulder. He was also very happy. An immortal foundation was also a terrifying force. Now that two immortal foundations were on his side, the Divine Union was even more terrifying. "Young master, please." Zixing and the others respectfully invited Lin Xian in. "Princess." The elders beside the 9-star princess also shook their heads and sighed. They were afraid that the 9-star palace master would do something stupid. The 9-star princess smiled bitterly. "Don't worry, I won't go against Lin Wudi." As a young powerhouse, she was also arrogant and did not care about anything. However, she had no choice but to lower her head in front of Lin Xian. There was only one outcome for going against Lin Xian, and that was death. The elders beside her were also shocked. Lin Wudi was too strong. He had made the 9-star immortal foundation submit with just a few words. They wondered how shocked the universe would be when he walked out. The 9-star princess' eyes also lit up. Over the past 3 years, there had been rumors that Lin Wudi had died. Now that he had come out alive, those people would probably be dumbfounded. Over the past 3 years, many people had secretly made moves against the Divine Union and the Sacred Hall. Chapter 53-22. In the main hall of the 9-star immortal platform, Lin Xian sat on the throne. Madame Purple Star and the others stood respectfully at the side. The others also stood up one after another. Although they knew that Madame Purple Star was the new hall lord, the current owner of the 9-star immortal platform was Lin Wudi. "Tell me what happened in the past 3 years." Lin Xian asked in a low voice. An immortal platform's information was definitely more than what they knew. Soon, the elder of the 9-star immortal platform walked out and recounted what happened in the past 3 years. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He had already heard some of it. However, there were still some things he didn't know. For example, there were a few double crown kings in the universe. This really surprised him. Moreover, the identities of these double crown kings had already been guessed by others. They weren't from this generation, but from the previous generation, or even the generation before that. In every generation, there would be some terrifying experts who transcended mortality. They calculated that the opportunity to become an immortal emperor was in this generation. Hence, some of the top geniuses went into seclusion and chose to sleep for countless years. They appeared in the generation where there was hope to become an immortal emperor. The current generation was the best golden generation. Hence, these people came out one after another. Golden generation. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes after hearing this. He felt the pressure. However, he soon snorted coldly. So what? He wasn't afraid of the double crown kings. Now he was also a double crown king. Moreover, this wasn't the end. Lin Xian knew that there was still a triple crown king in the Purple Mansion. His strength would probably be even more terrifying. Lin Xian looked around and asked in a low voice. Your immortal platform should have some ancient inheritance or ruins, right? I want to feel the supreme aura of the great Tao. This caused the elders to hesitate. Madame Purple Star walked out. She held the Hall Lord token and said, I am the new Hall Lord. I announce that young Master Lin can enjoy the cultivation treatment of a Hall Lord. The immortal platforms had core secrets. Ordinary people couldn't cultivate at all. In fact, even some elders didn't have the qualifications. Only the core elders and the Hall Lords had it. Lin Xian was an outsider. Normally, he wouldn't have the qualifications. However, that might not be the case now. Those elders nodded and said, Young Master Lin, this way please. At the core of the 9-star immortal platform, there were 9 constellations revolving unceasingly. Every star was extremely mysterious, and some of them were even stained with blood. Although it was already dry, the aura on it was incomparably terrifying. Young Master Lin, the name of our 9-star immortal foundation comes from these 9 stars. These 9 stars had already existed before the Yuhua immortal dynasty was destroyed. Back then, our ancestors were also unparalleled powerhouses in the Yuhua immortal dynasty. These 9 stars were his. Over the past 10,000 years, we have comprehended many great Daros from these 9 stars, and created many divine abilities. As for what young master can comprehend, it will depend on young master's luck. Oh really? Lin Xian nodded and sat down cross-legged. He looked at the 9 stars in front of him to comprehend the aura of the great path. As for the others, they slowly withdrew. While Lin Xian was cultivating, the Hundan tribe was gnashing their teeth. Their Hundan physique had been snatched away, and their ancestor had not returned after a long time. This made them feel despair. The strongest genius had fallen and his corpse was gone. And their greatest reliance, the quasi-emperor, was also missing. Could it be that something had happened to their ancestor? If the quasi-emperor had fallen, then their Hundan tribe would be completely finished. However, what made them heave a sigh of relief was that their ancestor's soul fire was still there. It was not extinguished. In the ancient hall, there was a ball of flame that kept jumping. It was left behind by the quasi-emperor. As long as the soul fire was not extinguished, it meant that they were definitely not dead. But now, where were their quasi-emperors? They did not know. The situation did not improve, and their ancestor would probably not return for a while. They could not take revenge. At the thought of this, they gritted their teeth. Damn Lin Wudi. He actually dared to kill their double crown champion. They were so angry that they vomited blood. Among them, some of the divine ancestors discussed and prepared to assassinate Lin Xian, but they realized that it would not work. This was because Lin Xian had already grown up and had many powerful saints behind him. Once a battle of that level happened again, the situation would probably be the same as before. If a group battle did not work, then they could only send one person to challenge. In this way, the experts behind Lin Xian would not be able to make a move. But who should they send? Even the double crown champion had fallen, and the others would only be sending themselves to their deaths. At this moment, a ray of light of chaos flew out from the ancient hall. At the same time, a cold voice sounded. I'll go and kill that Lin Wudi. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. They looked ahead. That ray of light of chaos was a strange stone that was emitting a terrifying light. After some elders saw it, their expressions changed. Greetings, Lord Chaos Stone. They bowed one after another because the origin of this stone was very unusual. This was the stone beside the quasi-emperor. The quasi-emperor meditated and cultivated all year round on this stone. Therefore, this stone also carried a trace of extremely terrifying Emperor's aura. The surrounding members of the chaotic race were all excited. Although the Chaos Stone was a stone, after countless years, it had long possessed a soul. This was equivalent to a powerful living being. If Lord Chaos Stone were to make a move, there would definitely be a chance. This was an existence even more powerful than Hun Tian. After all, a stone had existed for too long. In addition, it had been by the Quasi-Emperor's side all year round. Its realm could be said to be unfathomable. The other divine ancestor-level elders were very respectful when they saw him. Lord Chaos Stone, are you going to make a move? That's great. If you make a move, that Lin Wudi will definitely die. That's right, Lord Chaos, please kill that kid. Roars rang out one after another around them. They saw hope. The Chaos Stone nodded. He said that Lin Wudi had to be killed. And the person who took away the Chaos body had to be killed too. The Chaos body had to be taken back. I am from the chaotic race. I will not allow others to challenge me. At this point, the Chaos Stone emitted an extremely terrifying chaos aura that pierced through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. The terrifying pressure made those powerhouses feel as if they were facing a great enemy. Where was Lin Wudi? I'll go and kill him. Chaos said coldly. The surrounding elders had ugly expressions on their faces. Lord Chaos Stone, after the battle between Lin Wudi and His Highness Hun Tian 3 years ago, there was no news of him. It was said that he was in seclusion. Some people said that he was seriously injured and died. He hasn't appeared yet. He hasn't appeared? Humph, I want to see him if he's alive, and his corpse if he's dead. Chapter 53-23. He had the Sacred Hall and the Divine Union under him. However, the Divine Union was still the most famous one. It was an alliance that had gathered countless ancient families and powerhouses. The Divine Union. All right, let's go to the Divine Union. The chaotic Nightmare Stone's eyes glowed with a terrifying light. He shot up into the sky. A group of chaotic tribe powerhouses followed behind him. The Divine Union was now at its peak. It was no longer just a small force in the Tao. Now it had grown into a colossal entity and was a powerful alliance. Therefore, the Divine Union didn't just exist in the Tao. They had also opened up a territory in the entire Sacred Origin ancient city and built their own residence. The Divine Union was very lively now because their new residence had just been built. It was located in the east of the ancient city. It was so majestic that one couldn't see the end of it. There were countless array formations around it, all set up by the dark red divine dragon, and a group of array formation experts. From this day onwards, the Divine Union would start a new legend. He would also become the overlord of the Sacred Origin ancient city, and be as famous as the 3 great Tao sects and the Sacred Origin Tower. In an instant, countless experts came to congratulate him. His allies also came one after another. The Eternal Life Hall, the Fire God Palace, the Pill Cauldron Sect, the Fire Dragon Tribe, the Black Sea Dragons, the Nalan family, the Duga family. Powerful sects and clans arrived one after another. It was very lively. Disciples of the Tao could be seen everywhere. On top of that, the people of Peerless City also came. Fu Hongye Lu Yuan, and the others all returned to witness this miraculous moment together. The other sects and families in the Sacred Origin ancient city also came to congratulate him. They looked at the scene with mixed emotions. It was unbelievable. One had to know that to become the overlord of the Sacred Origin ancient city, it would take tens of thousands of years, or even tens of thousands of years of development. However, it had only been a few years since the Divine Union had been established, and it had been at its peak. More importantly, the person who had established the Divine Union had been a young man. Now he had grown into a colossal entity that everyone came to congratulate him. It was really heaven-defying. Of course, they knew that the owner of the Divine Union was even more heaven-defying. He was a young supreme being who had killed the Emperor's son and the Double Crown King. Although his current whereabouts were unknown, no one dared to underestimate him. In the manner of the Divine Union, there was an endless stream of geniuses chatting and exchanging pointers with each other. The scene was very lively. A banquet was held in the central hall of the Divine Union. Those who could enter were all top-notch geniuses and terrifying experts. In the northern position, there was a throne, but it was empty. That was for Lin Xian. On both sides of the throne were a few other core members of the Divine Union. For example, Bai Susu, the dark red divine dragon, and Fu Hongya. They sat there. Bai Susu stood up. She had dressed up meticulously today. Her white robe was spotless, and her beautiful face was like that of a fairy descending to the mortal world. She raised a cup of spirit wine, looked around the hall, and said with a smile, "Today is a great day for the Divine Union to rebuild the sect. Thank you all for coming. The chief of the Divine Union, Lin Wudi, is temporarily unable to make it due to cultivation. Let me toast everyone. White Fairy is too polite." The surrounding people didn't dare to be careless. In the past, Bai Susu was only the daughter of a Dao sect elder and a top genius. He couldn't be compared to these big shots at all. However, things were different now. Bai Susu was the great elder of the Divine Union. Her status was definitely extraordinary. Actually, this should be the case. After all, Bai Susu was in charge of all the affairs of the Divine Union. Lin Xian was a hands-off shopkeeper who only knew how to cultivate. The Divine Union had to find someone to manage it. Morong Qingqing, Shen Jingqiu, and the others were all focused on cultivation and didn't like to manage such matters. Bai Susu was very suitable. Her status in the Divine Union was equivalent to Peacock's status in the Divine Hall. That was very high. Therefore, her toast was equivalent to representing the Divine Union and Lin Xian. The others naturally didn't dare to be careless. After this, the surrounding people also stood up to toast and present congratulatory gifts. Voices rang out one after another as congratulatory gifts were presented one after another. Everyone exclaimed in surprise. These were all precious treasures. Only the Divine Union could bring out all of them at once. The members of the Divine Union were very proud. They all had smiles on their faces. Bai Susu was also very happy. This was great. When Lin Xian returned, she would finally be able to give him a satisfactory explanation. Suddenly, a voice came from afar like a clap of thunder. How could the Primal Chaos tribe miss out on such a grand occasion? The voice was like a clap of thunder that spread in all directions. Everyone in the main hall of the Divine Union was stunned. The Primal Chaos tribe. Their pupils constricted. The news of Hun Tian's death had spread throughout the realms. Everyone knew that the Primal Chaos tribe's Double Crown King had been slain by Lin Xian. The two of them were sworn enemies. The Primal Chaos tribe definitely wasn't here to congratulate them. They were definitely here to cause trouble. Could their boundary emperor have returned? Were they here to kill their way in? Thinking of this possibility, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. The members of the Divine Union were also shocked. People like Dark Red Shenong, Fu Hongya, Bai Susu, and the others even stood up. "Let's go." Bai Susu led the group out of the main hall. A group of people followed the powerhouses who had come to congratulate them out of the main hall. They looked up at the sky, which was already filled with primal chaos aura. It was as if the sky and earth had been split apart. There were countless terrifying cracks in the sky. Everyone felt a sense of fear and oppression. Powerhouses had arrived. There were a lot of them. In the next moment, they saw figures that resembled demonic gods appearing one after another amidst the chaotic aura that filled the air. It was the members of the Primal Chaos tribe. Many people exclaimed as their pupils constricted. The members of the Divine Union were in an uproar. Bai Susu walked out and looked up at the sky. "Primal Chaos tribe, the Divine Union didn't invite you. Aren't you being too rude by coming uninvited? Leave. We don't welcome you today. The Primal Chaos tribe can go anywhere in the world. Could it be that we can't come to the Divine Union?" A sacred lord in the sky said coldly. Suddenly, a terrifying aura surged out in all directions like a deep sea. Dark Red Shenong and the others also shouted angrily. Did they want to fight? They would accompany them to the end. The members of the Divine Union exuded an extremely terrifying aura. The members of the Primal Chaos tribe in the sky didn't back down. However, a voice rang out. Where was Lin Wudi? Get him out here. This voice was even colder and the power of Primal Chaos was even more terrifying. The surrounding people's pupils constricted when they heard this. Who was this person? What arrogance! A moment later, they saw the powerhouses of the primal chaos tribe in the sky open up a path. Chapter 53-24. Who are you? Do you think you can meet our alliance leader? Baisusu snorted coldly. The others were also discussing animatedly. Who was this person? They could sense that this wasn't a quasi-emperor, so they were even more curious. Apart from a quasi-emperor and a chaotic body, what other terrifying experts did the chaotic tribe have? In the sky, the light of chaos gradually disappeared, following which a rock appeared. The stone was only half a meter tall and had a strange shape. There were chaotic runes on it, and it looked very mysterious. Everyone was stunned. They had not expected it to be a stone. The people of the Divine Union were also stunned. Baisusu snorted coldly. How dare a mere stone act so presumptuously in the Divine Union? You don't have the right to meet our alliance leader. Was there no one else in the chaotic tribe? Sending a stone over? What a joke! The dark red divine dragon also sneered. The other people of the Divine Union also burst into laughter. They had originally thought that it would be some powerful figure. They had not expected it to be a stone. How dare you be so rude to our Lord Chaotic Stone? Do you have a death wish? The elders of the chaotic tribe in the sky roared furiously. The other experts and powerhouses narrowed their eyes when they heard this. Lord Chaotic Stone? It seemed like he had an extraordinary background. Otherwise, why would the elders of the chaotic tribe be so respectful? The chaotic stone looked down and stared at Baisusu. How dare an ant like you talk to me like this? Today, I'll let you know what etiquette is. Apart from Linwudi, none of you are worthy of going against me. As he said that, he shot out a beam of chaotic light. This beam of chaotic light was very bright. The moment it appeared, it turned into a bolt of lightning and charged towards Baisusu. His speed and strength caused the pupils of the surrounding people to shrink. The sect masters and clan leaders also exclaimed. This power was too shocking for them. Baisusu's face also changed. He roared furiously and sent out a palm strike. The current him had undergone an earth-shattering change compared to before. During the period when Lin Xian was not around, he had been presiding over the Divine Union. Therefore, she had obtained a lot of cultivation resources. The current her had also become a kind of young giant. Her strength was extremely terrifying. At this moment, she struck out with her palm. Clouds and mist drifted about. Firmament palm. When the two collided, an earth-shattering sound erupted. However, in the next instant, the firmament palm was pierced through. Baisusu clutched her hand as she backed away. Her face was pale beyond compare. He even spat out a mouthful of blood. The surrounding people exclaimed in surprise when they saw this, especially the people from the Divine Union. Their expressions changed drastically. Right now, Baisusu was already a young powerhouse. Her strength was absolutely terrifying. But now he couldn't even block a single attack from his opponent? This rock was too terrifying. Damn it! Baisusu suppressed her surging blood essence and formed a hand seal. Drawing 4 incarnations, he immediately charged out. A long sword appeared in each of their hands. White Cloud Sword Array. This was her ultimate technique. Her 4 incarnations were extremely terrifying as they charged towards the Chaos Stone from all directions. However, the Chaos Stone was calm. Its body kept spinning and collided with the 4 white cloud swords. With a clang, the swords broke. The 4 incarnations spat out blood again, and were sent flying. 3 of them had cracks and Baisusu's main body was injured. Too weak. Was this the strength of the Divine Union? She couldn't even block a single attack from him. The Chaos Stone shook his head and sneered. The entire place was silent. Everyone's eyes were wide open and their jaws dropped. Baisusu was weak? They didn't think so. At the very least, the previous attack was definitely at the level of a young giant. Even the other young giants would have to be careful when dealing with it. But now Baisusu had been defeated. She had been defeated easily. It wasn't that Baisusu was weak, but that the Chaos Stone was too strong. The other party had the strength of a double champion. The Primal Chaos Tribe was too terrifying. Just a rock was so terrifying. Damn it, This was definitely no ordinary rock. What was the origin of this rock? It was no wonder the primal chaos tribe dared to come. Apart from the primal chaos body, there was actually such a terrifying rock. It seemed like the situation was dangerous this time. Countless discussions broke out. The people from the Divine Union were extremely nervous. The disciples came out and went to Bai Susu's side. Senior Sister Bai, are you all right? Bai Susu's face was pale. Damn it, how could he be so strong? I'll take revenge for you. The dark rainbow divine dragon walked out and said coldly, where did this stupid rock come from? Get down here. How dare a snake be so arrogant in front of me? The chaos stone sneered and shot out a terrifying chaotic light once again. It slashed down like a heavenly blade. The dark rainbow divine dragon also felt his hair stand on end. Only now did he know what kind of pressure Bai Susu had faced. This person was probably even stronger than Hun Tian. He shouted angrily, not daring to be careless. He unleashed the dragon blade to fight back. With a clang, the dragon blade was sent flying. He hurriedly gathered the surrounding array formations. They formed 36 formations, covering the sky and covering the earth as they enveloped him. However, they were completely penetrated. He was also sent flying with a wound on his body. He was injured again. Countless people were shocked. They knew that the dark rainbow divine dragon was also a young giant. More importantly, the other party was an array formation expert. Now he was actually injured even though he was using the array formation. He only suffered light injuries. Your array formation skills are not bad. However, you are still no match for me. The Chaos Stone looked at the dark rainbow divine dragon with a hint of surprise. The people of the chaotic tribe sneered. The Divine Union was just so. Where was Lin Wudi? He dared to kill our highness. Today we are here to take revenge. Get him out here. Cold shouts rang out one after another. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. The members of the Divine Union also looked gloomy. They said that they should attack together. Yes, that was right. Experts from the Eternal Life Hall, Dugu family, and Fire Dragon family walked out one after another. They planned to attack together. The elders of the chaotic tribe sneered when they saw this. What? You can't beat him one-on-one, so you want to attack together? Is this the strength of the Divine Union? Do you think you are the only ones? Lin Wudi has too many enemies. As long as we give the order, all your enemies will rush over. Let's see what you can do then. Hearing this, the people of the Divine Union looked extremely ugly. Bai Susu also said not to act rashly. Damn it, where did this stupid stone come from? The dark rainbow divine dragon also gritted his teeth. He had not expected that even he would be defeated. Let me do it. At this moment, a figure floated over from the depths of the divine dragon mansion. This figure was extremely beautiful. She was expressionless as she looked up at the chaos stone in the sky. Chapter 53-25. The person who had arrived was Shenjingqiu. Her appearance restored the confidence of the Divine Union members. After all, Shenjingqiu was a proud daughter of heaven. She was even stronger than Bai Susu, the dark red dragon, and the others. The surrounding people also exclaimed, was Shenjingqiu going to make a move? It seemed like the situation had taken a turn for the better. Are you Shenjingqiu? You are no match for me. Get Lin Wudi to come out. The Divine Union members' faces changed when they heard this. The dark red dragon gritted his teeth. What was a piece of broken stone being so arrogant about? That's right. Even your chaotic body was destroyed by our Alliance leader Lin. How dare a piece of stone like you go against Alliance leader Lin? Be careful not to send you to the 18th level of hell. Upon hearing this, the chaotic stone emitted a terrifying killing intent. It pierced through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. The surrounding people felt their scalps go numb. The entire place fell silent. The Divine Union members felt their blood boil. It seemed like their bodies were about to split apart. At that moment, Shenjingqiu walked out. A terrifying golden vortex appeared on her body. Terrifying nomological laws also surged out. She struck out with her palm, shattering the surrounding void. Everyone else also retreated. One could imagine how strong Shenjingqiu was. Humph! The chaotic stone snorted. The chaotic light on its body, which carried an extremely strong killing intent, descended. It seemed to have transformed into a chaotic sword that swept out in all directions. In the next moment, it charged over like a bolt of lightning. It charged toward Shen Jingqiu. Shen Jingqiu snorted. She formed a seal with her hands and flicked it out gently. A golden ray of light flew out and collided with the other party. Instantly, 100,000 thunderous sounds rang out. Heaven and earth were overturned. With the two of them as the center, a violent force swept out in all directions. The surrounding people retreated one after another. At the same time, they exclaimed that it was too powerful. Boom. At that moment, an extremely terrifying aura suddenly erupted from the chaotic stone. It was several times stronger than before. Shen Jingqiu's pupils shrank. She was forced to retreat. At the same time, a mysterious figure appeared from the golden vortex behind her. It suppressed the heavens and the earth. Even so, he still retreated a dozen steps. The surrounding people widened their eyes in disbelief. What did they see? Shen Jingqiu was pushed back. It was unbelievable. One should know that Shen Jingqiu's strength was extremely powerful. But now he was actually forced back. Just how terrifying was this chaos gem? No wonder the Hundan tribe dared to come here and challenge Lin Xian. He was not injured at all. The Stone of Chaos was also surprised. It looked at Shen Jingqiu and the figure behind him and frowned deeply. Taboo martial arts. Looks like I've underestimated you. One had to know that even if it was a young giant, that move just now would be able to kill him. Even the double champion could have been injured, but Shen Jingqiu was unharmed. However, he didn't care because he knew that his strength was enough to crush everything. You don't have to do anything. You're not my match. Let Lin Wudi come out. I gave him 10 days. If he doesn't appear in 10 days, I'll come here and kill all of you. Don't even think about escaping. Who wants to escape? I'll kill him immediately. After saying that, the Stone of Chaos sneered. He soared into the sky and led the Hundan tribe to the 9 heavens to wait. The surrounding people felt their scalps go numb. The people of the Divine Union had extremely ugly expressions. Damn it. Why was he being targeted by such a terrifying expert? At the same time, the news spread. The entire saintly origin ancient city was in an uproar. What? Someone had actually come knocking on the Divine Union's door? Furthermore, they were suppressed to the point that they couldn't even lift their heads. Who was so terrifying? Bai Susu had been defeated. The dark red divine dragon had been defeated. Even Shen Jingqiu had been pushed back by a single move. How terrifying was that person? It was someone from the Hundan tribe. Impossible. Could it be that Hun Tian had been resurrected? Exclamations rang out one after another. What had happened here was simply too shocking. It wasn't Hun Tian. It was a piece of rock. A stone of chaos. What? A piece of rock? How could it be so heaven-defying? The Hundan tribe was too terrifying. An older elite said, "This isn't an ordinary rock. I can feel an extremely terrifying aura coming from it. The origin of this rock is definitely extraordinary." Soon, news about the Stone of Chaos spread all over the place. Someone said, they had found out that this was the rock beside the Hundan Quasi-Emperor. It had accompanied the Hundan Quasi-Emperor for many years, and had a trace of the Hundan Quasi-Emperor's aura. Heavens, no wonder he was so powerful. Anything related to the Hundan Quasi-Emperor was extremely terrifying. Even Shen Jingqiu had been defeated. It turned out that it was the rock beside the Hundan Quasi-Emperor. Was this rock here to avenge Hun Tian? He was challenging Lin Wudi. There had been no news of Lin Wudi for 3 years. If he didn't appear in 10 days, the Divine Union would probably be finished. No one could withstand a single attack from the Stone of Chaos. In an instant, countless people were shocked. The news spread throughout the entire buried Emperor Star, and even out into the universe. People from the 10,000 Dragon Court, Purple Mansion, and Destiny Gemini race laughed heartily when they heard this. They had previously attacked the Divine Union, but had returned empty-handed. They hadn't expected that the Divine Union would be in such a crisis now. Great. Let's go and watch. They all headed over. When necessary, they could provide help to the Hundan race. When Xiang Daozong and the others heard this, their faces turned gloomy. The savage desolation ancestor walked out, suppressing heaven and earth. The divine ancestor of the Hundun race had indeed said that their Lord Stone of Chaos was only going to challenge Lin Wudi. They didn't want a war between the sections. Of course, if you attack, the Hundun race won't be afraid. His voice was extremely sonorous. The 10,000 Dragon Court, Golden Crow Race, Purple Mansion, and the others all rushed over to watch. In an instant, the situation became dangerous. The ancestral ancestor's face turned gloomy. They really couldn't attack. This was because once they attacked, it would become a battle between dozens of ancient families. Extreme weapons appeared once again, and the outcome would be difficult to determine. Lin Xian, where are you? Have you heard the news? Come back quickly. The savage desolation ancestor and the others were anxious. The people from the 10,000 Dragon Court sneered. I think that Lin Wudi doesn't even dare to come back. The people from the Purple Mansion snorted. Perhaps he had already died. The people from the Golden Crow race snorted. If he dared to come, he would definitely be killed by the Stone of Chaos. This was a stone with the might of a boundary emperor. These people all had a grudge against Lin Xian. Now that they saw this scene, they naturally mocked and ridiculed. They even hoped that Lin Xian would come out. Then he would be suppressed. What should they do? The people from the Divine Union were also panicking. The Longevity Hall and the Dugu family were also anxious. Was young Master Lin okay? The Dark Red Dragon said. Don't worry, he will definitely come. He had already sent a message to Lin Xian. At the same time, Yin Ruyu, Murong Qingcheng, and the others arrived one after another. They were all waiting. In the blink of an eye, 5 days passed. On this day, in the universe's quintessential world, another piece of news came. It swept across the universe. Chapter 53-26. Lin Xian had come out of seclusion and subdued the 9-star Immortal Foundation. He had killed Chen Mu, Kai Ling Yi, and Bing Long. He had killed the new Hallmaster of the 9-star Immortal Foundation. He had gained complete control of the Immortal Foundation. This news was like a storm that swept across the world. When those people heard it, they were all dumbfounded. This wasn't the first time Lin Xian had killed a young powerhouse. However, he had killed another Hallmaster of the Immortal Foundation and subdued it. This was too shocking. That was an Immortal Foundation, an overlord sect. Now it had also submitted to Lin Wudi? In an instant, the crowd was in an uproar. Could it be that he had used the Boundary Emperor's corpse again? This was because the previous Hallmaster of the 9-star Immortal Foundation had been killed by the Boundary Emperor's corpse. However, when the news spread, it was shocking. Lin Wudi hadn't used the Boundary Emperor's corpse at all, nor had he used any extreme weapons. Instead, he had killed the Hallmaster with his own strength. When this news spread, everyone was even more shocked. The new Hallmaster of the 9-star Immortal Foundation was also a divine ancestor. Now Lin Xian could already kill a divine ancestor with his own strength? His strength was even stronger than it had been 3 years ago. Countless people were terrified. The faces of the 10,000 Dragons Imperial Court, Zifu, and the others turned ugly. Not only had Lin Wudi not died, but he had become even stronger. This made them grit their teeth in anger. At the same time, the people of the Divine Union cheered. This was great. Their Alliance Master Lin was still alive. Moreover, he had become even more terrifying. As long as Alliance Master Lin arrived, all the dangers would be resolved. There were even some experts who were looking forward to it. Lin Wudi was incomparably terrifying and the Chaos Stone had an extraordinary origin. Both of them were super experts. The battle between the two of them would definitely be very exciting. They couldn't miss it. In an instant, everyone headed towards the buried Emperor Star. At this moment, all the experts and geniuses in the universe moved. Previously, when Lin Xian and Hun Tian fought, some people didn't get to see it, which made them feel regretful. Now that there was a Chaos Stone that was even stronger than Hun Tian, they naturally wouldn't miss it. Moreover, they knew that this would definitely be a life and death battle. Because the two sides were sworn enemies. One figure after another rose into the sky. In the starry sky of the universe, there was a person who was surrounded by extremely terrifying lightning. It was like the birth of the thunder god, stepping over thousands of miles, running amok in the universe. It was shocking. On the other side, there was someone holding a large black banner. He was like a demonic god as he moved out, leaving everyone horrified. There were also people who were surrounded by flames, as if the god of fire had descended. These experts all headed towards the buried Emperor Star. For a moment, those who were hurrying through the universe were also alarmed. Damn it. Why were these people's auras so powerful? Why do I feel like they're even more terrifying than the sacred ancestor? More importantly, these people looked very young. Could this be one of those legendary experts who managed to remove the seal? Were all these people there to watch Lin Wudy fight? Everyone was even more shocked. When the news spread, countless people were in an uproar. And even more people went. Lin Wudy had become even stronger than before. The Chaos Stone carried the aura of a quasi-emperor. The two of them were extremely terrifying even among the Double Crown champions. They wondered if they had any hope of getting close to the Triple Crown champion. Hearing the words Triple Crown champion, everyone was shocked. Double Crown champions were already very rare, let alone Triple Crown champions. Currently, no Triple Crown champion had appeared. There was only one legend, which was that there was a Triple Crown champion in the Purple Mansion realm. However, no one was sure if it really existed. However, once such a person appeared, even among the Sacred Lords, they could sweep through everything. The older Sacred Lords also felt the danger. Endless good and evil auras gathered in the Destiny Twins. Among them, a middle-aged man had a cold expression. It was impossible for Lin Wudy to become the Triple Crown champion. How many Sacred Lords had failed to achieve the title of Triple Crown champion? Let alone him. It was certain that he would never be able to achieve it in his lifetime. The surrounding elders nodded in agreement. They even felt that Lin Wudy might be killed by the Chaos Stone. Had Brother Lin become even stronger? In the Yi family, Yi Wudao's eyes flickered. Let's go and watch this battle. The Yi family cultivators behind him also gasped. This Lin Wudy was really something. If anyone could break through the Triple Crown champion first, it was very likely that he would. Wudao, after this battle, you will have to use the things left behind by the heavens and earth. The Yi family elders had solemn expressions. I know you are proud and don't want to rely on external forces. However, this is a golden era. Countless experts have gathered in this era. In fact, there are even experts from tens of thousands of years ago who have come out. Another elder said, yes, this thing was left behind by our heavenly emperor for the descendants of the Yi family. It doesn't matter if you use it. Yi Wudao took a deep breath and said, I understand. I will consider using it. Hearing this, the Yi family elders laughed. That's great. Yi Wudao was just a young powerhouse. He was still a distance away from the Double Crown champion, but they weren't too worried. After all, their Yi family's foundation was very strong. Their Yi family had once produced an emperor. Moreover, he was an extremely terrifying existence among emperors. He was known as the Heavenly Emperor. After the heavens and earth of the Yi family ascended, they left behind several treasures. In addition to the emperor's ancient scriptures and extreme weapons, there were other treasures. They were prepared for the descendants who had a chance of becoming emperors. Yi Wudao had always wanted to rely on his own strength to break through, so he didn't use these things. But now he was finally going to use them. Once he did, his strength would undergo an earth-shaking transformation. At that time, becoming the Double Crown champion wouldn't be a problem at all. He might even become the Triple Crown champion. This was the reason why they were so confident. Elsewhere, in Fire Qilin Cave, Fire Qilinzi's expression turned cold after hearing the news. You're not dead yet? He furrowed his brows tightly. This time, I will watch you fall with my own eyes. He gritted his teeth. Others like Kuan-Pingzi and Gufeng also made their move. There was another person in the universe. This person was living in seclusion on a desolate planet. Currently, endless black vortexes were churning around him. At the same time, a monster flew over from afar. The monster respectfully prostrated on the ground and told the figure what had happened in the universe. After hearing this, Yao Guang narrowed her eyes. The Chaos Stone and Lin Wudi are going to fight? I'm looking forward to it. Unfortunately, I don't have time to care about them. Go watch the battle, and tell me the result. With that, the monster soared into the sky and flew into the distance. Yao Guang continued her seclusion. In her black vortex, a corpse was constantly bobbing up and down. It was the chaos body. Now it was being devoured. Once it was completely devoured, it would possess the power of the chaos body. Chapter 53:27. On the 10th day, the Holy Abyss city on the buried Emperor Star was bustling with noise and excitement. This was because countless powerhouses had arrived. Heavens, that must be Kuan Pengzi. He actually came too. Not only that, but the Fire Qilin also came. Apart from them, Gufeng, Yi Wudao and the others had also arrived. These were all young powerhouses, and there was even a double crown champion. It was very difficult for so many people to gather together. Only Lin Wudi could do so. Let's go to the Divine Union, and see if Lin Wudi had returned. These people walked towards the city gate. The Divine Union was also surrounded by people. The people from the Divine Union felt immense pressure, and retreated back into the main hall. Before long, these people walked out again. This time, Morong Qingcheng, Shen Jingqiu and Yin Ryu took the lead. Next, Bai Susu, the dark red divine dragon and the others also walked out. The injuries on their bodies had all healed. At this moment, their expressions were incomparably serious. Look, Morong Qingcheng is here too. That must be Yin Ryu. The two of them are also proud ladies. They had also returned. Had Lin Wudi returned? They quickly searched. However, they realized that Lin Xian was not among these people. Some people sighed. Could Lin Wudi not have arrived yet? Heavens, wasn't he still alive? Why wasn't he here yet? Could it be that he did not dare to participate in this battle? Discussions broke out one after another. Of course, there were also people who were shocked. Although Lin Xian had not come, the strength that the Divine Union had displayed was really too strong. Not to mention the families and sects, just the younger generation alone had Yin Ryu, Morong Qingcheng and Shen Jingqiu. These three were top-notch proud ladies. Apart from them, there were also young powerhouses like the dark red divine dragon and Bai Susu. This was something that could not be seen in the monarch race. Ordinary monarch races would not produce any young powerhouses other than nurturing their emperor's sons. However, the Divine Union had so many of them. What was so incredible about this? If they continued to develop in the future, they might even surpass the emperor clans. No wonder the Wonton clan wanted to make a move. No one dared to let such a force exist. Boom, boom. Between heaven and earth, tens of thousands of thunder sounded, as if it was going to destroy the world. Everyone felt their scalps go numb. They could feel that the power of this thunder was extremely terrifying. Those saints looked as though they were facing a great enemy. Their faces were filled with despair, while their bodies were trembling. Even the pupils of the saint ancestors shrank. Who was it? Had a terrifying lightning Dao expert arrived? In the next moment, a figure descended from the sea of lightning. He said loudly, "Looks like I'm not too late." This was a very handsome man wearing armor. Thunder surrounded his body. It was as if the god of thunder had descended. He stood there and looked down in all directions. At this moment, the young powerhouses and the older generation sacred masters all felt immense pressure. Who was this person? How could it be so terrifying? Gufeng, Kuan Pengzi, and the others' expressions changed drastically. Their strength was simply unable to contend against the other party. Even the Fire Qilin's pupils shrank as a terrifying light burst out from his eyes. The Qilin bloodline in his body erupted, sweeping across the 9 heavens. King, this was a double crown king. He was really too surprised. He didn't expect that other than Hun Tian, there would be another double crown king. Could it be one of those legendary people? Heavens, he should be the legendary sleeping powerhouse, the Thunder King. He actually came too. This was a double crown king. Exclamations of surprise sounded one after another. Thunder King. The double crown king, a genius who had been sleeping for 20,000 years, had finally awakened in this era. Moreover, he had arrived. The other party's thunder power was extremely terrifying. It was a violent and destructive power. The other party didn't do anything. He just stood there, and everyone felt as if they were facing a great enemy. One could imagine that when the other party attacked, it would be an earth-shattering power. The Thunder King stood in the void and looked in all directions. When he saw that those young people couldn't contend with him at all, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. However, he soon stared at the fire Qilin Zi, and a trace of a biting cold light burst out from his eyes. Emperor's son? He could actually become the Double Crown King. He was very strong. He was very interested in the fire Qilin, but he didn't make a move. He still stood in the void. The fire Qilin's face turned cold. He also felt a huge pressure. However, he was very confident in himself. He wasn't just the Double Crown King. More importantly, he was the Emperor's son. His bloodline was extraordinary, and he could sweep through everything. With a cold snort, the Qilin bloodline in his body became even more terrifying. Monstrous flames swept across the 9 heavens. At this moment, another voice came from the void. Fire Qilin, the Emperor's bloodline. Let me see if your bloodline is more powerful. Or my flames are more powerful. As the voice fell, the entire sky turned into a sea of fire. The surrounding people were frightened, and their faces turned pale. Even the sacred ancestors were as if they were facing a great enemy. They felt as if they were about to be burned. Who was it? The pupils of the Qilin race's powerhouses constricted. The fire Qilin roared, and the Qilin phantom rushed into the sky. In the next moment, a woman walked out from the sky. The woman was extremely beautiful, and the flames on her body were monstrous. She looked like a goddess of fire. Her aura was not weaker than the fire Qilins at all. Heavens, to be able to compete with the Qilin sun, she was also a Double Crown King. She was Yanxiang. She was a peerless genius from 30,000 years ago who had fused with the divine flames of heaven and earth. Countless people exclaimed. The people of the Fire Qilin cave were as if they were facing a great enemy. The Fire Qilin's face was also extremely cold. He could feel that the flames on her body were extremely shocking. Yanxiang glanced at the Fire Qilin, and then looked at the Chaos Stone in the distance. Then she also stood in the sky. Then the sky turned dark. A large flag suppressed the world, and the entire sky seemed to be about to shatter. Everyone was terrified. Had another expert arrived? Who was it this time? It was Heiqi, a figure from 30,000 years ago. The black flag in his hand had killed countless powerhouses. It was said that several sacred ancestors had died in his hands. Upon hearing this, even the divine ancestor powerhouses had ugly expressions on their faces. This person was a terrifying god of slaughter. After Heiqi arrived, he stared at the Chaos Stone. He narrowed his eyes. The aura around the quasi-emperor was a little interesting. The other young giants and powerhouses of the older generation were as if they were facing a great enemy. There had already been 3 Double Crown Kings, and each of them was earth-shattering. The strength of these people was unfathomable. They wondered if there were still people in hibernation. At this moment, the void in the distance broke open, and a spirit ship flew over. There were many figures standing on it. It was the people of the Purple Mansion. Someone exclaimed. They looked over. The Purple Mansion master stood in front, and behind him were the 9 successors. Other than that, there were also some people who were very unfamiliar, but the aura on their bodies was incomparably terrifying. They were probably also people who were in hibernation. Although they could not be compared to the Double Crown Kings, they were still extremely terrifying. Something's not right. Suddenly, a sacred lord exclaimed, "Look at that person, the aura on his body is incomparably terrifying." Chapter 53:28. The moment he said that, everyone looked over. In the next instant, they gasped. They hadn't paid much attention to this figure previously because it was very faint, like a shadow standing there. At first, no one noticed it. However, when they looked carefully, they realized that it wasn't the case at all. The entire situation had changed. Although the leader of the Purple Mansion sect was on the spirit boat, the Purple Mansion sect wasn't the most important. The most important thing was that this shadow-like man was the core of the entire lineup. It was rumored that there was a Triple Crown champion in the Purple Mansion sect. Could it be him? Heavens! Once such a person appeared, no one would be able to contend against him. At this moment, everyone was stunned. The Thunder Emperor, Heichi, Burning Incense, and the others all looked over. The Fire Qilin and the others were even more nervous. However, they soon realized that it wasn't the case. Burning Incense shook his head. It wasn't the aura of a Triple Crown champion. It was still a Double Crown champion. The other sacred masters also realized that it was true. Although the shadow-like person was terrifying, he hadn't reached the level of a Triple Crown champion. However, even so, it was terrifying enough. This Double Crown champion was a terrifying existence. The Purple Mansion sect was indeed impressive. Apart from the Triple Crown champion, there was actually a Double Crown champion. It was really unfathomable. Xiaoying, it's actually you. The Thunder Emperor said in a deep voice. Clearly, he was also very surprised. I didn't expect that you would also choose to sleep. The others were shocked. They didn't expect that they actually knew each other. It seemed that these Double Crown champions were all related to each other. Xiaoying looked at the Thunder Emperor and nodded slightly. Then he also looked into the distance. Chaos Stone? He narrowed his eyes. Where was Lin Wudi? He looked in all directions. Lin Wudi was a peerless enemy of the Purple Mansion sect. As a member of the Purple Mansion sect, he naturally wanted to take a look. Who exactly was he? He hadn't appeared so far. Xiaoying shook his head slightly. Perhaps he didn't dare to come. The people of the Purple Mansion sect occupied a spot. Soon more people arrived. There were young geniuses, old divine ancestors, and strong people. More and more people arrived, but Lin Wudi still hadn't appeared. Someone frowned. Could it be that Lin Wudi was too scared to come? Even the members of the Divine Union were extremely worried. Murong Qingqing said, "Don't worry, Big Brother Xian will definitely come." After waiting for about half a day, suddenly, countless terrifying sword chi came from afar. Then a figure walked over in the air. He was like a sword god that had descended. Countless people turned to look at him. What a terrifying aura. Heavens, who is it? They saw a man standing with his hands behind his back amidst the sword chi that filled the sky. The sword shadows on his body were extremely terrifying. It's him. Lin Wudi. He really came. Exclamations of surprise could be heard. At this moment, the surrounding people all raised their heads to look at the sky, their eyes bursting with a sharp light. The chaos stones of the primal chaos tribe soared into the air, releasing a power that could split the heavens and earth apart. Is he here? Murderous intent surged from his body. The people from the Divine Union also stood up. This was great. It was the Union leader. The Alliance Master was finally here. The Nalan clan, Dugu clan, Fire Dragon clan, and the others all laughed. They knew that Lin Xian would definitely come. This was great. This kid had become stronger again. The dark red divine dragon and the others also jumped up in excitement. Indeed, the sword chi on Lin Xian's body was like a star that kept revolving around him. 9 stars aligned. On the other hand, Lin Xian was stepping on the stars like the god of the universe. This kind of vision was really shocking. Why do I feel that this star seems to have been refined from a real world of stars? What exactly has this guy been cultivating for the past 3 years? Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw this scene. Even the divine ancestors were shocked. These 9 stars were really terrifying. This guy's strength had actually become stronger again. Huaqilin's face was extremely cold. He could also feel how terrifying these 9 stars were. On the other side, the Thunder Emperor was also shocked as he stepped on the ground, surrounded by lightning. Was this Lin Wudi? He was indeed valiant and even more terrifying than the legends said. The other Double Crown champions also looked extremely solemn. The younger generation would surpass them in time. Although they were not from this era, they did not expect that there would be such a shocking person in this era. It was indeed worthy of being called the Golden Age. On the side of the Purple Mansion, the 9 successors were also shocked. The Purple Mansion Master also looked solemn as he looked at Xiaoying and said, "What do you think of him?" Xiaoying said that he was indeed a peerless genius. His 9 stars borrowed the power of the universe, which was incomparably vast. In addition, He had many unique skills and divine abilities before this. He was a peerless enemy. Hearing this, the people of the Purple Mansion were also shocked. Xiaoying was their sleeping double crown champion who was extremely terrifying. Now that even he said so, it was enough to show how terrifying Lin Xian was. It seemed that the peak battle was about to arrive. Let's retreat out of the formation. These people retreated one after another. At the same time, the entire ancient city lit up with the formation. It guarded the buildings and palaces below. The people of the Han Dun clan also quickly retreated to a safe place. Only a figure was left. It was the Chaos Stone. He was still there. Lin Xian also turned his head and looked. He also saw the Chaos Stone and closed his eyes. Was it the other party who wanted to challenge him? He did not expect it to be a stone. However, the aura of this stone was very different. He could feel a trace of Emperor's aura from it. Was it someone from the Han Dun clan? He originally thought that it was an expert of the Han Dun clan, or a divine ancestor. But now it seemed that it was not the case. The aura of the other party was very mysterious. Could it be that the other party was about to become a quasi-emperor? But it should not be. He did not feel that fatal danger. You are the one who wants to challenge me. Tell me your name. I don't kill nameless people. Lin Xian said in a deep voice. Are you Lin Wudi? Sure enough, he was more arrogant than expected. The Chaos Stone also said in a deep voice. I am a stone that separated heaven and earth. I have always stayed in the Han Dun clan, and can be considered a member of the Han Dun clan. Lin Wudi, how dare you kill an exceptional genius of the Han Dun clan? How do you want to die? Lin Xian snorted coldly. Han Dun deserved to die. As for you, you are also courting death. How dare you injure a member of the Divine Union? Do you think I will let you off today? Lin Xian was now very strong and his Rinnegan was even more terrifying. After arriving, he glanced at the Divine Union, and discovered that Bai Susu and the Dark Red Dragon were injured. Furthermore, the aura of the primal chaos on them was very strong. Naturally, he was angry because of the aura of this stone. Today you will fall here. I will let everyone know that the Divine Union is not to be challenged. Lin Xian exuded a strong domineering aura. Chapter 53-29. Lin Xian soared Qi sword into the sky, and the 9 stars behind him rotated slowly. Then a sword slashed down like a star descending from the universe. It carried a vast amount of power as it charged forward. What a terrifying power of heaven and earth. What kind of sword technique was this? The Thunder King was shocked when he felt the power of the universe. You're courting death. Today is the day you die. The Stone of Chaos roared. He was here to denounce Lin Xian, but the other party threatened to kill him the moment he arrived. How could he tolerate this? The chaotic aura on his body condensed and turned into a bolt of chaotic lightning that charged forward. This chaotic lightning carried the power to open up the universe, and it was very fast. In an instant, it reached the front and collided with the Starry Sky Sword technique. With a clang, the starlight in the sky shook. However, Lin Xian's sword technique was terrifying. It had the power to destroy everything. It also had the vastness of the universe. Under the sword, the chaotic lightning was bent. Seeing that it was about to shatter, the Stone of Chaos roared and the chaotic lightning on his body became even more terrifying. It charged forward. It formed a chaotic net that enveloped the Starry Sky Sword Qi. Finally, it sealed the sky, and then the two dissipated. Hundreds of black holes appeared in the sky, floating up and down, connecting to the starry sky outside. The surrounding people were shocked. A simple move from the two of them had the power to open up the universe. The young giants were terrified. They were no match for them at all. Even the other sacred lords sucked in a breath of cold air, because they realized that the two of them were not weaker than them at all. Even if they encountered such an attack, they would have to go all out. The two of them did not attack immediately after their attacks disappeared. Instead, they stared at each other. At this moment, Lin Xian moved again. With a wave of his arm, the starry sword Qi in the sky descended again. This time, it was even more terrifying. It was as if it had turned into a starry sky map that was vast and intertwined. These 9 stars were obtained by Lin Xian when he was comprehending in the core of the 9-star immortal platform. At the same time, he also created the Starry Sky Sword technique. At this moment, the power was boundless. The entire Starry Sky map was completely formed by sword chi. It was indestructible and enveloped down. The chaotic light that filled the sky kept shattering. The surrounding people gasped. The Stone of Chaos was also extremely shocked. With a cold snort, he leaped into the air and charged forward. Its origin was not ordinary. It was a stone left behind when the world was created. Then he was brought along by the Quasi-Emperor's side all year round, constantly being polished. His body was truly terrifying. Even compared to the chaotic body, it was even stronger. It was the strongest weapon in itself, so at this moment, he turned into a stream of light and charged forward. When Leaf Daudinier saw what was happening, he couldn't help but cry out in shock. What a powerful body! It seemed to surpass the primal chaos body. His saint body was on par with the 9 Yang divine body, ranked behind the primal chaos body. But now, a stone was stronger than the chaotic body. How could he not be shocked? The Fire Qilin's expression was also solemn. If he were to face this attack, he would probably have to use all of his bloodline power. Otherwise, it would be difficult for him to resist. How did that Lin Wudi block it? The 9 Yang divine body could not block it at all. Will the opponent use Rinnegan? Once that power was used, it would be difficult for him to use it again in a short period of time. If this Chaos Stone had another trump card, Lin Xian would really be in danger. Boom! The Chaos Stone was like a hot knife through butter. It charged forward and crashed into the Starry Sky map, piercing through it. Then, it quickly charged towards Lin Xian. This scene made countless people cry out in shock. Boom! A huge spatial crack appeared in the void. It was incomparably terrifying. The power that it emitted made the surrounding people vomit blood and retreat. Not good. They quickly fled. Even the divine ancestors were shocked. They opened their saint domains to block the remaining power. One could imagine that if they were hit directly, they would probably be pierced through immediately. Facing such an attack, Lin Xian did not dodge at all. Instead, he continued to wave his arm. The 9 stars in the sky continued to revolve. Then they formed a straight line, as if they had turned into a starry divine sword that slashed down. 9 stars aligned. The vast sword chi collided with the Chaos Stone. In the next moment, the front was swallowed by a black hole. It was incomparably black like a giant abyss beast. The terrifying power rushed into the 9 heavens. The starry sky in the outer realm was torn to pieces. The surroundings were shocked. Fortunately, there was an array formation here. Otherwise, this attack would have turned Saint Origin Ancient City into ashes. More and more black holes appeared in the sky, swallowing the 2 of them. Everyone widened their eyes. Did Lin Wudi block this attack? Could his sword chi hurt the Chaos Stone? Everyone was very curious. In the next moment, they saw a stone flying out. It was the Chaos Stone. He was sent flying. Was he injured? Everyone looked over, and found that there were no cracks on the Chaos Stone. This shocked them. On the other side, Lin Xian charged out of the black hole. At this moment, the starlight on his body disappeared and was replaced by pitch-black demonic chi. His palm formed a demonic seal and charged forward. At this moment, it turned into a demon god. The Chaos Stone roared and formed a chaotic vortex that charged forward. Chapter 53:30. Facing such a terrifying attack, Lin Xian's expression was also extremely solemn. In the next moment he attacked. Demon God Sword. The black demon sword descended from the sky and flickered in the air. It was also a powerful Great Emperor divine ability in the Illusion Demon scripture. This sword seemed to have transformed into a demonic dragon, and collided with the Chaos Millstone tens of thousands of times in an instant. Countless cracks were left in the sky. The 2 kept colliding, fighting from the sky to the 9 heavens. Lin Xian's swordsmanship was terrifying. As he moved, the void shattered continuously. One could imagine how terrifying this sword chi was. At the same time, his left hand used the demon god finger again. He pointed out with his finger. It charged towards the Chaos Stone like a meteor shower. An earth-shattering sound was heard. With a boom, the Chaos Stone was sent flying again. The Chaos Millstone was suppressed. This peerless divine ability that could shatter the universe couldn't do anything to Lin Wuti? Everyone was shocked. Lin Xian pointed his sword forward. What other methods did he have? Show them all. The Chaos Stone flew over from afar. The chaotic aura on his body became more and more terrifying. Chaos Heaven Transformation. At this moment, he was no longer a millstone that destroyed the world. Instead, he had transformed into a world. He pressed towards Lin Xian. This power was even more terrifying than before. Lin Xian snorted coldly. His eyes flickered with extremely terrifying reincarnation power. 6 paths of reincarnation. Heavenly Tao, Hand of Heaven. The illusion of the 6 paths of reincarnation appeared. At the same time, a huge hand descended from the 9 heavens. This hand seemed to represent the Heavenly Tao. This strike pierced through the sky and directly pierced through the chaotic sky. In the next moment, the Chaos Stone was pressed to the ground by this palm. With a boom, the entire Holy Abyss ancient city shook violently. The nearby array formation shattered, and the blood of the surrounding people surged. They looked at this scene in disbelief. Was it suppressed? This was too shocking. Every divine ability that was displayed by the Chaos Stone was incomparably terrifying. The other sacred ancestors were no match for it. However, after encountering Lin Wuti, they were always at a disadvantage. Even now, Lin Wuti had broken many of their divine abilities and suppressed them with a single palm. At this moment, the faces of the divine ancestors turned ugly. Lin Wuti had already grown to this extent. Even the Chaos Stone was no match for him. Who would be able to suppress him then? It would be difficult for the other Double Crown champions. Could it be that only the Triple Crown champions would be able to suppress him? In the era when the Triple Crown King did not appear, the other party was a supreme being. Those from the Purple Mansion had ugly expressions on their faces. Those from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty were grinding their teeth so hard that they almost broke. The people of the Primal Chaos race roared even louder. They couldn't believe it. Even the Primal Chaos Stone had been defeated? On the other side, the members of the Divine Union cheered excitedly. Great, young Master Lin was invincible. He won. Bai Susu and the others chuckled as well. The corner of Morong Qingqing's mouth raised. Brother Xian's strength had become even stronger than before. Regardless of whether it was his soul or his swordsmanship, both had risen to a whole new level. Was he already this terrifying? Kuan Pengzi was shocked. Gu Feng's expression was even more solemn, while Qilin's face was incomparably gloomy. But at this moment his brows twitched. No, it's not sealed. I can feel an even stronger chaos energy. Just as he finished speaking, the ground below split open, and a figure charged up into the air. He was out. The people of the Primal Chaos race rejoiced. The others also exclaimed. Had he not been defeated yet? It seemed like they had underestimated the Primal Chaos Stone. At this moment, the Primal Chaos Stone had transformed into its normal form, floating up and down between heaven and earth. Countless great Daos intertwined on it. At the same time, a figure sat cross-legged on it. It was an extremely hazy figure. This figure's face couldn't be seen clearly, but the aura it carried had a trace of Emperor's might. Everyone was shocked. This was the figure of a Boundary Emperor. That's right. The Primal Chaos Stone carried the cultivation of a Boundary Emperor. After so many years, it had long left the imprint of a Boundary Emperor. Now it had used the imprint. It carried an unparalleled Emperor's might that was above all saints. At this moment, even the sacred race was terrified. It seemed like they were being suppressed. The Primal Chaos Stone gritted its teeth and said, Lin Wuti, I have indeed underestimated you. You actually managed to suppress me. But it's a pity that you will still be defeated in this battle. I used the might of a Boundary Emperor. It's not something you can imagine. Unless the Triple Crown King comes today, no one else is my match. A cold voice spread in all directions. The other Double Crown Kings also frowned. The phantom of a Boundary Emperor carried an unparalleled Emperor's might. It was indeed a fatal threat to them. Was this the Primal Chaos Stone's strongest trump card? Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. The phantom of a boundary emperor? So what? I can only say that you are not qualified to kill me. Stupid thing, I will let you know what despair is. The primal chaos stone snorted coldly, and the aura on its body became even more terrifying. At the same time, the figure sitting cross-legged on top of him extended a hand and made a grabbing motion. The hand of the primal chaos god. This attack could turn heaven and earth upside down. Its power made the sacred lords tremble. Chapter 53:31. The demonic chi on Lin Xian's body surged into the sky, forming an extremely terrifying defensive shield. It blocked these terrifying attacks. At the same time, he said coldly, "It's just an illusion of a quasi-emperor. Whether it's alive or dead, it can't be compared to a true great emperor. Next, I'll let you know what the true might of a great emperor is." Lin Xian formed a seal with his palm and activated the illusion demon scripture stone to the extreme. At this moment, the demonic shadow behind him became more and more realistic, as if it had crossed through time and space. The 9 heavens and 10 lands were shaking, and everyone was about to crawl. This power was too terrifying. They looked ahead, their faces full of shock. The Fire Qilin roared angrily, and used his imperial bloodline with all his might. The other Double Crown champions also used their methods. They looked at the demonic shadow in horror. Boom. In the next moment, the demonic shadow attacked. He took the demonic sword in Lin Xian's hand and slashed forward. With a boom, this sword split heaven and earth, and the universe shattered. Nothing could stop it. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they were extremely shocked. Some sacred lords clenched their fists in excitement. This was the real great emperor. Although it was just an illusion, it was a dead illusion. It was definitely terrifying. Nothing could stop them. These people cultivated in pursuit of the supreme realm of a great emperor, but they couldn't even reach the quasi-emperor realm. Now that they saw the might of a great emperor, how could they not be excited? The chaos stone was sent flying, and the quasi-emperor illusion on it also dimmed. It was as if it would disappear at any moment. No. He roared crazily, unable to accept this. The people of the Hundun tribe were also extremely nervous. How could this be? Could it be that even the Chaos Stone couldn't suppress Lin Wuti? The other experts' expressions were even worse. Should they? At this moment, they used an extreme weapon to sneak attack Lin Wuti. After all, Lin Wuti was really too powerful now. There weren't many Double Crown champions who could suppress him, not to mention defeating him. If this continued, no one would be a match for him unless the Triple Crown champions appeared. If he continued to grow, then he would really become a great emperor. Once the other party became the Earth, it would be everyone's nightmare. All of them who were his enemies would probably be reduced to ashes. Damn it! The Stone of Chaos roared and pushed with all its might, causing the figure of the quasi-emperor to appear once again. Lin Xian shook his head. The difference between a quasi-emperor and a great emperor was only one word, but the difference between them was like heaven and earth. Your phantom shadow is no match for MOing. Furthermore, this demonic shadow is only one of my trump cards. I still have other trump cards that I haven't used yet. Therefore, you have lost this battle. Damn it. How many millennia has my image been a quasi-venerate? As for your devil shadow, you were the one who summoned it. I don't believe that your devil shadow can last for long. The Chaos Stone roared furiously. As long as he could hold on, the other party would be powerless. In that case, he would win. In the next moment, he roared and attacked with all his might. The two phantoms fought. Lin Xian's expression was ice cold. The demonic god shadow split open the sky, forcing the Chaos Stone to retreat. The next moment, another sword strike shattered the quasi-emperor phantom. The demonic shadow also disappeared. Both sides disappeared at the same time, shocking countless people. However, Lin Xian's expression was incomparably calm. The demonic shadow is gone, but I still have other means. Do you want to experience the power of the Samsara sword? At this point, the power of Samsara in Lin Xian's right eye became extremely terrifying. The souls of the others were suppressed. Legend had it that the Samsara eye could summon the Samsara sword. Previously, When he was fighting Hun Tian, Lin Wuti had summoned the phantom of the Samsara sword. The power of the sword spread throughout the universe. Now was he going to use such a supreme technique in front of them again? If the Stone of Chaos didn't have any other means, he would probably be defeated. Heavens! Who would have thought that the Stone of Chaos, the stone that had accompanied a quasi-emperor all year round, would be defeated? Could it be that only a quasi-emperor could kill Lin Wuti? Exclamations rang out one after another. The people of the primal chaos race were also extremely nervous. Did the Stone of Chaos have other means? They didn't know because they usually didn't see the Stone of Chaos at all. The Stone of Chaos's expression was extremely ugly. The quasi-emperor phantom was shattered by the other party. Now that the other party was going to use the Rinnegan, it seemed that he could only use his strongest means. Lin Wuti, I originally didn't want to use this method. But since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. The Stone of Chaos still had other means? What was it? They all widened their eyes and looked carefully. Some blood-colored marks suddenly appeared on the Stone of Chaos, then condensed into a drop of blood. It spun in the air. The 9 heavens and 10 lands were shattering. The surrounding people also felt as if they were struck by lightning. The blood of a quasi-emperor. The Stone of Chaos actually contained the blood of a quasi-emperor? It was too unbelievable. Countless people roared in horror. A drop of the blood of a saint could break the sky and turn people below the saint level into ashes. And a drop of the blood of a quasi-emperor could destroy countless worlds. A quasi-emperor was an existence that completely surpassed the divine ancestor. A drop of blood was enough to kill everything. The blood of a quasi-emperor spun in the air with a mysterious aura. The Stone of Chaos shook violently. He said coldly, "You can die in peace now." He knew that no one could stop the son-in-law of a quasi-emperor. Lin Xian's expression also became incomparably solemn. He also felt the danger. This quasi-emperor's blood was enough to tear his 9-yang divine body into pieces. He no longer delayed and used the Rinnegan with all his might. In the sky, an eye of reincarnation appeared, looking down on the common people. In that eye there was a sword shadow. The moment he appeared, everyone felt the power of reincarnation. It was too unbelievable. Was this the sword of reincarnation? Although it was only an illusion of the sword of reincarnation, it was already incomparably terrifying. Lin Xian roared, his face pale. With his strength, he could only use the sword of reincarnation once. He would not hold back. The illusion of reincarnation in the sky slashed down from the sky, and the surrounding people all retreated frantically. If they were hit, the 6 paths of reincarnation would no longer exist. The Stone of Chaos roared angrily, "Kill!" He controlled the quasi-emperor's blood and charged out. A drop of blood was not even the size of a fingernail, but no one dared to underestimate the power it carried. Boom! Finally, the two collided in the air, setting off a monstrous storm. Half of it turned into a sea of blood, surging wildly. The other half was the 6 paths of reincarnation, and the two forces were in a stalemate. The Stone of Chaos roared crazily, "Kill! Kill!" The terrifying quasi-emperor's blood erupted, forming a monstrous sea of blood that swept forward. It engulfed the Sword of Reincarnation. On the other hand, the Sword of Reincarnation was like a giant dragon, directly shattering everything. The two sides clashed again, and the vast power engulfed everything. At this moment, everyone was pushed far away. Even the Sacred Lords and the Double Crown King were shocked. Chapter 53-32. I think the quasi-emperor blood should be more powerful. A sacred master said. Indeed, that was the blood of a quasi-emperor. If Lin Xian used the heaven-devouring jar, he might be able to contend against it. However, it might not be the case if he used the reincarnation sword. That was not the real reincarnation sword, but an illusion summoned by the Rinnegan. No matter how powerful it was, it could not be stronger than the blood of a quasi-emperor. The other powerhouses also thought so. After all, a quasi-emperor was too terrifying. At this moment, the wind and clouds in front suddenly changed. Everyone felt that something was wrong with the power. All of them looked forward. The next moment, their eyes widened. How was that possible? These people were stunned. The sacred ancestors were terrified, and even the double crown king sucked in a breath of cold air, because the beautiful figure in the sky had already transformed into a 6 paths of reincarnation. The chaos stone was covered in cracks, and the quasi-emperor blood had already disappeared. The chaos aura on the chaos stone also became stronger and stronger. In the next moment, it turned into a pile of useless rocks. You can actually reincarnate me. I'm not willing. The chaos stone let out a final roar. In the next moment, it scattered on the ground and danced in the wind. Only Lin Xian was left in the world. He stood there like a god. At this moment, everyone looked up. Was he dead? Countless people were shocked. The chaos stone actually shattered. The others were even more shocked. Lin Wudi won again. It was too unbelievable. Was this the power of the reincarnation sword? Although it was just an illusion, it was so terrifying. Even the chaos stone was reincarnated. The divine fire on Zhenxiang's body jumped. Her face was full of surprise. On the other side, the Thunder King also gasped. That was the blood of a quasi-emperor. How many worlds could it destroy? But now it could not even withstand a single blow from Lin Wudi. It was too difficult to kill Lin Wudi. Unless it was a true Triple Crown King, or a quasi-emperor personally made a move. Was he really going to be invincible? Previously, everyone was disdainful of this title, but now they were only shocked. Even those sacred ancestors were terrified. Thinking of the Golden Crow race and Destiny race, the smiles on their faces disappeared. Instead, it was replaced by a hint of ferocity. Who could contend with such a person? Even the newly crowned double champions had grave expressions on their faces. Who would have thought that he would encounter such an expert after waking up from his deep slumber? That's great, big brother Xian. A smile appeared on Murong Qingqing's face. The people from the Divine Union raised their arms and cheered. They had won. They had won. They were really too happy. This battle was extremely important to the three of them. If they were defeated, the Divine Union would be destroyed. But obviously this was impossible. Lin Xian had great strength and defeated his opponent once again. The dark red dragon god laughed heartily. Let's see who dares to challenge us from now on. Indeed, even the Chaos Stone with the Quasi-Emperor blood had been defeated. The other double champion probably wouldn't dare to act rashly. The 10,000 Dragons Imperial Court and the people of the Purple Mansion were also gnashing their teeth. This was their peerless enemy. As long as he was alive, they would not dare to relax for even a single day. The terrifying eye of reincarnation in the sky slowly disappeared. Lin Xian's face was pale. His right eye twitched, and the power of reincarnation disappeared. That sword strike had consumed too much of his spirit power. However, he had finally killed this enemy. Lin Xian's gaze swept across the area. The Chaos Stone challenged the Divine Union and injured our members. His death is not to be regretted. If anyone dares to challenge the Divine Union in the future, I will cut them down with my sword. His loud voice spread in all directions, making the scalps of the people around him go numb. Perhaps no one would dare to attack the Divine Union again. How could this be? Lord Chaos Stone. It had actually shattered. The people of the Primal Chaos tribe went crazy. They simply couldn't believe that the Chaos Stone had died. The Chaos Stone had also shattered. Their Primal Chaos tribe had really suffered a heavy blow. The Sacred Masters were even more confused. Could it be that even the Quasi-Emperor blood couldn't do anything to the other party? Lin Xian's expression was cold. The Quasi-Emperor blood was indeed very frightening. Fortunately, he had used the Reincarnation Sword and sent the 6 paths of reincarnation into the Reincarnation Sword. Otherwise, if he had used the Great Dragon Sword, he would have been injured even if he could cut open the Quasi-Emperor blood. The Primal Chaos tribe couldn't be underestimated. After all, they had a true Quasi-Emperor existence. If there had been a few more Quasi-Emperor blood in this battle, he would have been in danger. Lin Xian's figure descended from the sky and walked towards the Divine Union. The people of the Divine Union cheered. Damn it, let's go. The Purple Mansion Master led his people and left. The 10,000 Dragons Imperial Court also left. The Golden Crow tribe and the Fate tribe also left unwillingly. However, they couldn't do anything. The Thunder Monarch's figure flashed, and he turned into a bolt of thunder and disappeared. Burning Incense and the others also returned with the terrifying sky flame. To be honest, they also felt the pressure. Lin Wudi had indeed made them feel like they were facing a great enemy. Of course, there were some people who didn't leave, such as Yi Wudao. He walked over and said, "Brother Lin, congratulations. Your strength has increased greatly again." The Yi family elder also said, "Young Master Lin's sword technique is unparalleled. However, although you defeated the Chaos Stone this time, you still have to be careful. Based on what I know, there is indeed a Triple Crown champion in the Purple Mansion." The Purple Mansion? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes when he heard this. The Yi family sacred leader nodded. The Triple Crown champion was an even more terrifying existence. It was far from what the Chaos Stone could compare to. Even with the Quasi-Emperor blood, they might not be able to defeat the Triple Crown champion. Hearing this, the surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. How terrifying was the Triple Crown champion? Lin Xian's eyes also flickered. Although the Triple Crown champion was in the Purple Mansion, he was still in a deep slumber. Furthermore, he hadn't come out yet. He probably wouldn't come out yet. Besides, give me some time, and I can also try for the Triple Crown champion. Lin Xian's eyes were filled with boundless confidence. The Yi family's divine ancestor nodded. Then he said, "It's fine. Wu Dao will also become stronger in the future. When the time comes, you can join forces." Hearing this, Lin Xian was also surprised. Wu Dao had a fortuitous encounter? Yi Wu Dao said, "Brother Lin, I'm afraid I have to go into seclusion for a while. When I come out, I will definitely give you a surprise." After saying that, he waved his hand and left with the Yi family's divine ancestor. Lin Xian was surprised when he heard this. Yan Ryu also walked over. The Yi family was not ordinary. They were extremely terrifying in the Great Emperor family. The Great Emperor of the Yi family was known as the Heavenly Emperor back then. His methods were definitely terrifying. The Yi family must have left behind some trump cards. It was just that Yi Wudao was too proud to use them back then. Now it seemed that he had to use those trump cards. Lin Xian gasped when he heard this. It seemed that the foundation of the monarch family wasn't just limited to this. He asked, "How is the Heavenly Emperor of the Yi family compared to the Indra of the Yuhua immortal dynasty?" Sakura. He had once seen an illusion that easily suppressed a living quasi-emperor. That was really a domineering aura. Moreover, it was said that the Indra wanted to use his strength to make the entire Yuhua immortal dynasty ascend to immortality. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.